Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. My name is Scott, and we are back here to talk Backlash. Well, I didn't even mean to do that, but there we go. Backlash, the name of the PLE. Backlash, the name of the game. Apparently, we are here to break down the card, get into predictions, hopefully be joined by some guests later on to do exactly that as well. But yeah, it's a big show tonight. I think this is one that's always interesting. The first PLE post WrestleMania. Bit of a lull period usually between the two PLEs there, but I do think what they've been doing on the weekly shows has been good lately. But before we dive into it too much, let's throw it over to our little intro.
Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features, and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action.
All right, we are here again for Backlash. Let's break it down, guys. We've got quite an interesting card. I can see quite a few of you in the comments already. Appreciate all of you as always. Let's get to a few of those. First off, we've got Aiden's in the house. Says hello. Good to see you, Aiden, as always. Casper says, what do we have here? Good evening, Scott. We haven't spoken for a few weeks. Hope you're well. WWE cuts happened. 17 wrestlers included. Yeah, quite a few of those. We're going to get to those in a bit, Casper. I'm glad you brought those up because, as you say, we haven't actually been on the air for a while. Since the Raw after WrestleMania, I think it was. We had such a crazy WrestleMania week, and you guys really did keep me company and the rest of the gang company over that weekend. We appreciate it. But yeah, we're back here talking Backlash. But as you say, some big news in the past kind of week or so, really relating to releases. So we will touch on some of that. So thanks for bringing that up, Casper. I'm going to get to that in a moment. So we'll get to the names soon as well. Touching on that though, Aiden says I'm gutted about Jade and Dakota. Also saying hi to Casper as well. Still trying to get over Isla Dawn. Yeah, it was a while ago, that one, wasn't it? But yeah, still feels quite fresh. Deshaun says yeet. Yeet is in the house. Casper's doing okay as well. But again, talking about those cuts, digested it. And at the end of the day, what are your thoughts? Yeah, we will get to those cuts. Don't you worry. Aiden making Deshaun feel welcome here as well. I'm seeing loads of these comments here talking about these cuts. So we'll get to those in just a little bit. Casper also says, I'm a bit tired, so hoping I can get through the show. Backlash is in St. Louis. I'm looking forward to the IC title match between Lyra and Becky. Cena and Orton, and Indy Hart was another cut he was disappointed about. Yeah, I agree. Indy Hart was a sad end there as well, but it looks like she's doing all right at the moment. But yeah, as far as tonight's show, some really exciting matches to talk about, and it's a strange card because it's one that I think feels very Backlash, but it doesn't make it, in my opinion, a bad card. It just feels kind of, yeah, that makes sense for Backlash. It's always a weird period, as I say. Critic Galaxy's back in the house. Yeah, been a while, mate. Good to see you back with us. Hope you're doing well and hope you're excited about Backlash. If you're not, hey, that's what we're here for, guys. You know the score. It is all about getting you guys and us guys hyped up, in the mood, and ready for the PLE. That's what we do here on the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel on the night of the PLE. We're going to take you right up until the start of the show. And yeah, hopefully we'll be joined by some guests later on as well. But let's break down the card. It's, again, quite an interesting one. I do think there are some good kind of topics surrounding this card. We've mentioned, of course, Cena versus Randy Orton already. So we've got that one coming up tonight. What else do we have? We have Pat McAfee versus Gunther coming up tonight as well. We have a fatal four-way for the US title. And then we've also got Lyra Valkyria versus Becky Lynch. Of course, that was another one mentioned in the chat just a moment ago. IC title on the men's side as well. Dom versus Penta. That one, of course, only added on Raw, actually. So, yeah, it's a card that's been building throughout the past few weeks. But of course, back to the 5-match program, it would seem. It's something that Triple H doesn't seem to want to get away from any time soon. Aiden says, every time I see Alba, I miss Isla. Yeah, it's hard not to think, right? They did form quite an interesting team. But yeah, it's a shame she's not part of WWE at the moment. Let's go, Pat, says Critic Galaxy. I see where your allegiances lie there, Critic. I got to say, I think Gunther should be winning myself, but we'll get to why in a moment. Yes, Casper, as you say, 5-match card as well. Aiden says Penta versus Dom instead of Jay versus Logan. Yeah, it looked like they were kind of, well, they clearly are setting up that in the future. I really enjoyed that, by the way, guys. Like Logan coming out of the crowd and just, because I think it wasn't even on Raw, was it? It was at the end of Raw, you know, and he just kind of boop over the top. I thought it was really cool. It was really, really well executed. It looked great. So yeah, they're clearly building towards that, but they've done that quite a bit lately, where they've kind of built feuds on the weekly shows heading into PLEs that they're not even going to use. So again, Acrylic really going for Pat here as well. What else do we have? Yeah, quite a small match card, as you say, Casper. But a nice rounded show. I'm with you, Casper. I'm probably not going to stay up and watch it live tonight, unfortunately, guys. I've got a lot going on at the moment as far as work and just a little tired. But hey, I'm still here to get you guys hyped up and in the mood. I'll probably watch a little bit of it tonight, and then I might finish it tomorrow. But, you know, if the show grips me, who knows? Maybe I'll stay tuned. But for that reason, we are not looking to have an instant reaction tonight. But hopefully we'll still come back on air and give you some of our thoughts around Backlash once it's said and done in the near future. Acrylic says, let's think Pat for a second is not the opponent. Chick shoot and pulls it out the bag. What, you think that maybe someone else could be coming in? Okay. Who would that be? Who would that be? But as I say, an interesting card. Some great comments coming already, guys. If you're lurking in the background, welcome as well. Don't be shy. Let us know how you're feeling about this card, what you're most looking forward to, who you think is going to win the matches, and we'll kind of debate it until we get right up until the show starts itself later on. Of course, it is about 9:10 here in the UK. In 50 minutes' time, wherever you are, really 50 minutes away from now, the countdown show is going to begin. So we'll be your kind of countdown watch-along experience for that as well. We say it every PLE. Doesn't look like there's going to be a match on that, which is always quite frustrating. But yeah, we'll kind of go through what it seems they're hyping up and kind of any storyline progression that they do include on that show as well. Aiden says, say his name, and he appears, I believe, in Joe Hendry. Yeah. Well, you've said his name. Maybe he'll appear tonight. I don't think so, but man, wasn't that cool at WrestleMania? If you want to know my thoughts further on WrestleMania, guys, you can check that in the archives as well. Casper says, Raw was a bit dry for me. The Raw after WrestleMania then picked up again recently. Yeah, I think this past Raw was actually quite enjoyable as a show. A critic says, yeah, Pat needs help. I say, yeah, that's possible. That's possible that they reignite that story as well. Gary's back in the house. Always good to see you, Gary. Says, yo, Scott, mate. Not sure about tonight's show. Going to give it a watch, though. Not too sure what match I'm excited for. Hey, hopefully we can get you in the mood tonight, mate. But yeah, I think it's an interesting card. Again, we've kind of run through it a little bit there already. But what I'm going to do now is actually throw it over to my predictions from the other day. It's just about a 5-minute video, guys. But you'll see my original thoughts on this card recorded earlier this week. And then once that's over, I'll come back on here and basically react to those predictions as well. So here are my predictions from just a few days ago. Forget the post-WrestleMania slump. It is now time to talk Backlash predictions. And I am looking forward to this show. Let's start out with the first of the 2 Intercontinental title matches. The men's one. We've got Penta going up, challenging Dominik Mysterio. Now, will Dominik be losing that title quickly? Look, on the Raw after WrestleMania, I started to wonder if that was the case. And thankfully it wasn't, but I'm still not sure this is going to be a long reign. Obviously, they've really laid into this kind of Finn Balor jealousy angle, and I do think that's going to go somewhere eventually, but I do feel as well at the same time it might be a little soon for that, although I could picture Penta as the IC champ. Seeing as we saw AJ say he's going to challenge whoever the champ is, I think it is probably more likely that they're going to continue this storyline of Dominik feeling the weight of being the champion with everyone coming after him. So for me, I think Dominik Mysterio is winning this one, thankfully. Next up, we see the women's IC title on the line. Lyra Valkyria defending against Becky Lynch. Of course, Becky turning on Lyra recently, and I don't think it's a good idea for Becky to win it just yet. I think surely the whole point of this feud is to make Lyra look good, and to do that, you kind of got to have her win, right? So I think she should successfully defend against Becky, and I think she will. I think eventually Becky winning it isn't the worst idea. I think it gives a little bit of extra stock into this newly created championship, and why would you not want that on your resume if you're Becky Lynch? So for me, Lyra should win it this time round, and Becky probably should win it sometime in the future. Next up, moving away from the championships for a little bit, we've got Gunther versus Pat McAfee. Now, I've really enjoyed watching Pat in the ring the few times we've seen it already, but he shouldn't be beating Gunther. I like this feud. I mean, a lot of these feuds do make you feel like, yeah, that makes sense for Backlash, post-WrestleMania. And this is definitely one of those, and they need to make Gunther look like a beast, essentially. He needs to take out Pat in quite a big way, in my opinion. It needs to be convincing, and I think it will be. I would be massively shocked if Gunther did lose to Pat, because it would, to me, signal something quite dangerous, and that kind of goes against the way they've booked Gunther for a long time. So yeah, for me, it's all about making Gunther look strong again, seeing as he's no longer holding the title. Going back to the championship matches now, we've got a US title match, a fatal 4-way US title match between the champion Jacob Fatu defending against former champ LA Knight, Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest. Now this is hard to pick because there's 4 in it, right? But at the same time, it's not hard to pick because it's Jacob Fatu. And surely the whole idea at the moment is to continue making him look strong. Yeah, you could argue that if he loses in a fatal 4-way match, it's, 25% the chance, unless you're Steiner in it. It's an easy way to kind of get out of someone losing the title, but he's only just won it. They want the belt on him for a reason, surely. So for me, Jacob Fatu is leaving Backlash with that US strap. Now we get to the main event. The WWE Championship on the line between John Cena and Randy Orton. No, this is not 2009. We are here in a big old year of 2025, celebrating the fact that we've got 2 icons going against each other once more. And I'm looking forward to it just for the kind of celebration of their careers, really. One more time, yeah, I'm down. Now, do I think John Cena's losing the title? No way. Would it be nice for Randy Orton to win it in his hometown in the kind of twilight of his career? Of course it would be. But Cena's only just won it, and I don't think they're going to be taking it off him just yet. Maybe around SummerSlam, we'll have to see, depending on the rest of the storylines and who comes next. But I think this is purely to, do exactly what they've done here and advertise it as the final match, really, between John Cena and Randy Orton. And it kind of makes sense if it's a title match, right? If the title's on one of them, hey, why not? So as much as I want the biggest fan of Cena winning at WrestleMania, this is a nice little throwback match. So yeah, let's see how we go with this one. But for me, I think John Cena is walking out of Backlash, walking out of Randy Orton's hometown as WWE Champion, just like the old days. So that's it. Those are my predictions for Backlash. And
so he says those were my predictions the other day. Now, do my predictions hold up? I'd say for the most part, yeah. There are some in there that I was, even at the time, thinking, I could go either way with this one. But we'll break it down. Get your comments in, guys. Let me know what you think of my original predictions there. And of course, throughout the show here, I'll hit you with my kind of up-to-date ones and let you know if I've had a kind of a change of heart or anything like that. I'm going to get to some more of your comments here as well. Casper's not really feeling the idea of Logan Paul versus Jey Uso. Yeah, I like it, but I think it's just another example of making that title not feel like equal to the WWE Undisputed title. So yeah, that title's just, it's got a lot against it, let's be honest. As happy as I am to see Jey in that position, there's a lot of risks around that title, I feel. Acrylic is saying the Viper will win, of course, Randy Orton versus John Cena. Could we see Randy Orton get to, is it 15 titles, I think it would be for Randy? Trying to chase down John Cena. It'd be crazy if in the last year that was kind of a story that they went with, that somehow Randy caught up or something like that. But yeah, I don't personally see it. You would have seen from my original predictions there, guys. I don't think Cena's losing anytime soon. And as I said, probably around SummerSlam, if anything. But hey, I could be shocked. I could be wrong. We've been here before, and it has happened. Don't get me wrong. Gary says, lads, hit that like button if you haven't already. Yeah, appreciate Gary. Thank you to everyone tuning in, including friend of the channel, Tom Talks Rubbish, who has his own channel. Some of you may have seen already, but he interviews WrestleMania personalities. And I've been privileged enough to have been interviewed by Tom on his own channel, and we're trying to hook something up soon, aren't we, Tom? So hopefully we'll get another one soon, but yeah, schedules and all that, but we'll get there. So again, if you haven't already, go support Tom. He's doing some great stuff over there, and some of those people he's interviewed hopefully might be joining us later on in this show as well. A critic's all about the punt. There we go. And Casper's hits with Longhorn here. What's Casper got to say here? So it says, heard a few things that there might be a big angle at the end of Cena versus Randy Orton match. I wonder if we'll see Travis Scott. Oh, I hope not. But I heard something about Cody, Roman, Rock turning on Cena. Yeah, I can't see Cody, Rock, and Roman together all turning on Cena. I think that would defeat even though Cena's not really mentioned Rock since he turned. It's really weird, isn't it? I've started to enjoy Cena's heel run more, but there's still a lot of unanswered questions, and there's still a lot of kind of concerning things, especially when The Rock came out and said, you know, he kind of, I can't remember what he said exactly. I'm kind of paraphrasing. It was something along the lines of like, they just randomly decided to bring The Rock in and do what they did at Elimination Chamber, you know, and then he stepped back at WrestleMania because it was like, oh, let them tell the story. And it just made you feel like, oh, because so this weren't planned? I don't know. It feels a bit of a waste if that's the case, but we'll have to see. Now, Cody Rhodes, I think it's a good chance, guys. I do think Cody Rhodes could be showing up tonight. This could be his return because we haven't seen him since WrestleMania, which I actually forgot until today. I think that's right anyway. I don't think it was on either Raw or SmackDown after Mania, and I don't think we've seen him since, right? Because I'm trying to picture him without the belt and doing a miserable kind of, oh, don't have it anymore promo, which I don't think we've had, right? So, yeah, Cody's been gone, it would seem, since WrestleMania. Could it be showing up tonight, guys? Let me know in the comments. As you can see down below, have your say. We want to hear what you think about Backlash and the kind of possible twists and turns we might get here tonight as well. You might notice we've got a little bit of a different look and layout. I hope you enjoy this, guys. It's got a little bit of a change in presentation. We're trying to up our game even further. We appreciate all the support we get from you guys, so we're going to continue to try and bring you a nice slick show, and again, hopefully be joined by more members of the team and our friends from the wrestling media world later on. If you're new here, my name is Scott. We are the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. What we do is get you guys and us hyped up and in the mood for the PLE tonight. Of course, it's Backlash. We are a few hours away from the show, and what we'll do here is break down the card, talk last-minute rumors, and again, get ourselves kind of in the mood for the big show indeed. We gained a lot of traction, essentially, around WrestleMania week, and we really appreciate everyone that joined us. That was new then, but those that have been with us for a while, of course, I recognize a lot of the names in the chat. We really do appreciate all your support, guys, and yeah, keep it coming. If you're lurking in the background, that's okay too. But if you could like, subscribe, that'd be fantastic. But we'd love to hear what you have to say about Backlash and the current kind of WWE landscape. We talked about the releases earlier on, just briefly, but we will aim to get into some more of that as we get throughout the show as well. And in about 40 minutes time, WWE's countdown show will begin, and we'll act as a kind of watch along for that as well. So we're basically taking you right the way up to the event. Pun that square shaped head clean in, says Acrylic as well. Gary says, I think Orton will win tonight, and then Cena maybe will win it back. It's possible, but I mean, imagine that 18-time world champion. Whew. Not Cena or Orton, says Casper. What else have we got? Aiden says, my predictions, Lyra, same as me with that one. Pat, opposite to me with that one. Drew, yeah, I didn't go with that either. Dom, I did go with. That's the one I think I'm most nervous about. Is that it might, although I love Penta, I just think, as far as going with predictions, I think I might have got that one wrong. And you say Randy Orton as well. So, I mean, I think I've gone for no title changes on this show, which I know some will see as a disappointment. But if you don't need them, you don't need them. So, but that's what's making me nervous. I think I must be wrong with one of them. I think one title's going to change hands, right? No, to them turning on Orton, I got you. All right, what have we got as well? Lynette is back in the house. Good to see you, Lynette. How you doing? Well, says, I think that Lyra is going to win. A few votes here for Lyra tonight. I do think that she's got a good chance. I know a lot of people are going to see it as our Becky will just come in and take over. And I do think she will, as you would have seen from my original predictions there. I think that's going to happen, but I think not yet. There's two things to do here. Number one, make Lyra look strong. And number two, make that title look important. So what you do, in my opinion, is have her lose against Lyra and then win it at a later date. So that's what I reckon they should do. Gary says it looks clean. Thank you, mate. Yeah, I hope you enjoy the new layout and the new setup that we've got here as well. Acrylic says, what if Randy wins? John wins it back for the 18th time, and then it's a tainted win again. Yeah, because I was saying that I didn't think John Cena was going to do it at WrestleMania. Like, I thought the whole storyline was going to be he comes close, doesn't do it, and realizes he's made a huge error, and he goes back to being good guy Cena, retires as a face, because I think that's surely what they're going to do, and retires either as champ or basically finally gets it towards the end of this year, and it's because he's gone back to the way he'd always done it, and that'll be a nice story to tell, or a nice redemption. Like, yeah, I think that's just a great story, and I'm kind of disappointed we're not getting that, but at the same time, as I say, I've started to enjoy John Cena's heel run a little bit more anyway, so I can't complain too much. I've enjoyed his promos more. I've enjoyed the Randy Orton stuff. I mean, if you guys join me on, I know some of you in the chat were with us, we did the Raw after WrestleMania watch along and the instant reaction review as well. Like, I was over the moon when Randy Orton kind of, attacked John Cena. It became clear that that was going to be what we were going to see at Backlash. I mean, again, Randy Orton's hometown. You'd like to think they were going to face off against each other one more time anyway. So yeah, I think they've actually pull something quite good out of the bag here. Like I said in my original predictions there, does it need the title? It makes sense if one of them has the title, but it didn't need the title. But now that the title's on Cena, you might as well do it. And I made the joke, of course, it's not 2009, don't readjust your set sort of thing. And I'm not always a big fan. Like, that's not even my like. I didn't like that era that much. Like, there was some good stuff, but usually weren't that. As much as I like Cena and Orton, there was a time where I was so sick of those guys facing off against each other. But again, I'm just like, you know what? For old time's sake, let's do it one more time. And I'm enjoying what both of those guys have been doing in recent years as well. So, yeah, we'll see where we go with this one. Gary says that he thinks that Cena will turn back into a babyface. Yeah, as I say, Gary, I think it's going to happen as well. Probably going to take a little bit longer than I expected, because again, I didn't think he'd win the title, and now he'll be there, so we've got to do something with it, right? So we'll have to see. Right, what do we have from Casper, who says Roman Reigns, Rock, and Cody turn in on Orton tonight, but it won't make much sense if we don't see Travis Scott. Cena called Randy Orton last night furniture and lazy boy. Yeah, I thought it was quite an interesting comment from Cena, of course, on SmackDown. Not just that one. The 2006 reference was quite an interesting one as well, that they went with that. So, spicy comments there from John Cena. But, we'll see. We'll see where we go as far as any kind of turns and things like that. I don't see those three aligning. It just doesn't make much sense, especially for Cody. If anything, I think Orton will turn on Cody. I've been saying it for ages. I think that's what needs to happen. I thought by this point we would have had Orton facing off against Cody and not winning the title, and Cody still had it at the time, but obviously not the case. So yeah, I mean, maybe Cody coming back tonight, guys. What do you think? And if he does, what does he do? I think Cena wins tonight, and I think Cody comes back and kind of just is face to face at the end, because he can't make Orton look weak. I think where Orton. But maybe that's what leads to Orton being annoyed and turning on him, where he comes to help Orton, I don't think. I think Cena should just win, maybe in a heelish way, and at the end of it, Cody comes to try and settle the score, essentially. Tom Talks Rubbish says, with Cena's limited dates and even more limited matches, I hope Orton is a one and done. I really want to see Cena against new stars. 100%, mate. Yeah, could agree more. I really liked on Raw after Mania, how he brought up the number of dates and he counted them all off. Like, I thought that was really cool. The fact he remembered as well, pretty cool. But yeah, I agree with you. I think these are the kind of things that we should get. For old time's sake, one and done with Randy Orton. This is why I think he shouldn't win the title as well, because as much as, again, I didn't want Cena to win it, it's too soon to take it off him now, and it would mean that Cena has to go after Orton again to get back, and I just don't really want to see that. So yeah, as much as I would like Orton to be getting, his flowers in his hometown. I don't think that's really what this is. So yeah, I agree. And then yeah, as you say, a lot of new stars that we can kind of potentially see him kind of tussle with instead. We've got a good few months left. Not a lot of dates in those, but there is enough to make use of those dates. But as you say, they've got to be careful that they don't overuse kind of the same old story, right? Because traditionally these storylines go on for about 3 PLEs, right? You usually get 2 matches, then the rubber basically to settle the scores. How is the format that they tend to go with? And if we do that with John Cena, my goodness, he's only going to face people from the past, right? And we don't want that. A critic says NXT Evans, Javonza Evans, needs a call up. Yeah, he's doing some great stuff. Probably a bit too soon for the call up, if I'm honest, but I understand where the excitement comes from. He's great, but I do think there's a lot more for him to do on NXT first. But yeah, great talent there, of course. And thanks for the comments as always. Gary says, why hasn't Cody shown up recently? Yeah, I guess he's just upset. He's not the champ no more. And he's not thrilled about that, is he? I think that's just literally it. And I think he will show up. He's got to show up soon. If it's not tonight, it's going to have to be on it's a SmackDown title now, isn't it? Yeah, it's going to have to be on SmackDown. So Backlash makes sense. And again, you've got that kind of link with Randy Orton if you want to go that direction as well. Casper says, thoughts on Alberto Del Rio, as long as they keep him off on SmackDown and with WWE re-signing Paige. I mean, that's a loaded one there, isn't it, Casper? Rumors since Paige Saraya left AEW that she could go back to WWE, of course. And yeah, there's essentially, if you're unfamiliar, WWE now, of course, own AAA, and they, as AAA, have re-signed Del Rio. So how much crossover there will be interesting. Del Rio's a interesting character, a tricky character, I should say. I liked him as a performer, and there was great potential in him. Not just potential, because that kind of implies it was unfulfilled. The man won a Royal Rumble and became champion, and had some big storylines in a real kind of heated period, really. But at the same time, yeah, I mean, they tried to bring him back before and it didn't work out, right? So, but I think they're gonna, in my opinion, they're gonna keep him in AAA, is what I'm saying. So, but yeah, great comment as always, Casper. A critic says, so many places on the main rosters and the PLEs, Evans would shine, and yeah, 100%. I mean, this is the thing about PLEs, though. We keep saying it's only 5 matches. There's so many stars on the main roster that aren't getting on these shows in the first place. So, PLEs are probably a long, long way away if he does come up to the main roster anytime soon. But as I say, I think there's still a lot for him to do in NXT. Never mind the main roster. But yeah, I agree, mate, that he would be someone that would shine in that position if he had it. Tom says, I think him counting his dates would lead to a face turn, as the realization he isn't going to be in front of fans anymore. That's a great point, actually. Yeah, he could kind of start to panic. My idea, again, was that he didn't win the title and finally won it as a babyface because he saw the error of his ways. But that's also an option. I mean, it's the only option now because he's the champ, right? If we do a similar kind of twist where he kind of, as you say, starts to panic and think, oh, my goodness, like, is this really what I want? Like, that's an interesting little twist on it, Tom. I like that, mate. Thank you. Del Rio is now, 47. Is he 47 years old? My goodness, didn't expect that. Lucha Troopers in the house. Penta better be bringing Phoenix out to watch his back. There's no way Dominik can beat him without cheer. The Dominik one's interesting, right? Because I don't think he is going to have a long title reign. And I think the Finn thing's so obvious, and it will be happening, that Finn's going to turn. But, and at the same time, like, Penta could have won the title about a month ago and it'd be believable. So it really does lean towards Penta winning, if I'm honest. Even though I've gone for Dominik. But I've only gone for Dominik because I think they might drag this out further. But then at the same time, this is a storyline really that's been going on for a long time. Like, there's always been this dissension within the Judgment Day. I mean, they've split and they've changed members quite often, right? So it's this new version of it. I'm still enjoying though. So I kind of don't want it to rush, but yeah, I like the idea. Like I said in my original predictions, of Dom really feeling like the pressure of being a champion. They alluded to it on Raw, saying they're all coming after me, because that was again another point. They said AJ Styles is coming after the champ, so AJ going after Penta doesn't make as much sense. Great match. And AJ seems to flip-flop as a heel and a babyface quite a lot these days. It's kind of the modern-day Big Show in some ways, it feels. But yeah, we'll have to see. Casper was disappointed about Dakota Kai, but you're okay about it now. Okay. Yeah, I think it's a shame. It is a shame. That's another one. The rumors going around, about it being due to her age. I think I read she was 37. But yeah, it's not like that you don't have other wrestlers at that age or way older, really, in the men's division. So, bit of a shame that she has been let go. She happened twice now, hasn't it, over the past few years? And I thought she did well when she came back, but just hasn't been used much recently. Although she nearly became, was it the US or the IC champ? I can't remember which one it was now. I think it was the IC. But yeah, that was a surprise that she didn't do that. And now she's been let go. So quite the jump. A critic says, and since I missed the streams, what your opinion on WrestleMania Night 1 and Night 2? It felt meh. Night 1 felt meh. And Night 2 felt like WrestleMania, says the critic. Look, similar vibes. So again, we did do a review on this. So if people want to know my thoughts further, I know it was a while ago now, WrestleMania, a few weeks back, but if you do want to see my kind of initial reaction, you can watch those reviews. But kind of the summary I'll give you is, I kept saying it that weekend, actually. Night 1 was good with a great ending. Night 2 was great with a not so great ending. We'll leave it there because I was a little bit frustrated. You go back and watch that. Lucas was the same. He'll back me up with that. Gary says, Dom's face changed happened so quick. I was shocked. And when fans started to cheer him at one point, he couldn't get on the mic. Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's not really a face at the moment, but he's certainly being shown appreciation by the fans. I think a lot of people thought when he won the title, does that make him babyface? Like, it was a great feel good moment. But then if you watch the stuff he's done since, but also the interview he did on the post show or whatever it was clearly a heel, and a funny one at that as well. The deal is back in the house as well. Good to see you, buddy, as always. Says Pat McAfee leaving tonight in a stretcher. Surely this has to be a bloody squash. I agree, mate. I really do agree. Look, let's touch on that match a little bit. Gunther, for me, needs to batter Pat. As much as I enjoy Pat in the ring, I think he's been one of the better celebrity kind of inclusions. I mean, he's got a full-time gig now, right? But as a commentator, but like his stuff in the ring, I think was really good. And I think it'd be entertaining tonight, but he needs to get battered by Gunther. It'd be a bad look, in my opinion, if Pat beats him for Gunther. And you think, well, he's only lost the title, but then maybe that's why. Maybe they are kind of sick of the Gunther project. I don't think that's the case. I hope it's not the case because I think he's got a lot more to give. Casper says, no, I wasn't saying I was looking forward to Logan Paul versus Jey Uso. I just think it'll be an interesting match. Oh, okay, yeah. I think it'll be interesting as well. What do we have here? I'm trying to find where we are. Muriel, clearly a big fan of Rhea Ripley here. Thinks she'll be winning the women's title again. Won't be doing it tonight, buddy, but yeah, I think she'll be champion again. Looking towards WrestleMania next year, could be a world champion. I would not be surprised. Casper says, the cuts were brutal, but digested it now. But it's brutal, but it's sad, isn't it? I mean, these are people's jobs and their livelihood and their dreams, and a lot of people are big fans of these people as well, myself included. Some of these were big names. But yeah, it's, as you say, it's time, kind of, you digest it, and it's a shame because every now and then, like earlier on, it was mentioned, wasn't it, about Isla Dawn? You see her former tag partner and Alba Fyre, and you can't help but think, oh, that's a shame. Isla's gone. So it's it's a tough one. Gary thinks that Pat is better in the ring than Logan. Oh, I don't know. I mean, Logan's had way more chance to shine now, hasn't he? So hard to say, really. I'm trying to remember what Pat's, because he faced Adam Cole. I remember that was great. How many other matches has he had? He had one on the main roster as well, didn't he? Like SummerSlam or something like that, didn't he? Was it Austin Theory or someone like that? I can't remember. But yeah, I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite sure what else he's done. Right, let's get back to some of those comments about the WWE releases. I'm going to give you quick fire thoughts on some of these as well. Let's have a look. Who did we get? Before we get there, though, Miro thinks that Jey Uso wins the world title match against Logan Paul. I think that's the case as well. I think giving the world title to Logan Paul would be crazy. But then again, it kind of worked with the US title, I think. So, yeah. It's a tough one. Right, anyway, let's quickly get to some of these releases here. And I'll just give my quick fire thoughts on them. Braun Strowman, a shock, but not a shock. As in, it happened a few years ago, and they brought him back, and he hasn't done anywhere near as much as he did before. Now, again, with a lot of these here, it's going to be like, well, whose fault is that, and whatever else. It's hard to say. We're not there behind the scenes, but a shame. I think a real good talent. I wouldn't be surprised if he came back. I just put it that way. It'd be interesting to see what he does outside of the WWE as well. What we're going to do now, though, we are going to bring in Michelle in just a moment. So we'll get to some more of these releases very soon, but I want to know Michelle's thoughts on tonight's card as well. So let me just get this set up in the background just so we can get Michelle in as well. But guys, keep your comments coming. Want to know what you guys think is going to happen at Backlash tonight. It's going to be a good show. Let's get Michelle in here, though, because I do want to know what she's got to say and what she's looking forward to. So here we go. Hey, Michelle, how you doing?
Hi, how are you?
Good, bit. It's been a long time.
It's been a long time since I've been on. Sorry, I've been out of the sun. I'm a bit pink.
Oh, I can see you are quite pink there. You got a bit of a rattly noise there going on. I'm not sure if it's coming from your mic or something, but let us know in the comments, guys, if you can hear that as well. But
probably new headphones. I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, I can't hear. It's like a pop. But all right. Well, I know you haven't got a lot of time, so we'll keep it brief anyway.
Right.
Just going to get your thoughts on some of the cards. So let's run through some of these matches here. Let's start with the men's IC title. What are your thoughts on this one? Do you think Dominik's coming away with the championship still? I'm torn on this, I got to be honest, Michelle, because I think Penta makes a lot of sense, but I'd like to see Dominik keep it for a little bit longer.
Yeah, I think they want to build Dominik as like a credible wrestler, so I think he might retain. And they're making noises about the Lucha Brothers getting back together, so I think I put Penta down to win it, but I do think Dom might do it. I think he might keep it.
Yeah, I think so as well. I could see it being a short title reign. How short, though, I don't know. There was a fear that he was going to lose it the next night, or Raw after Mania, but it didn't happen, thankfully. And I'm enjoying this run, and I want to see more of this kind of story of him being like under the weight of being a champ.
And he's had a lot of publicity about being like a real workhorse, so it's like he's definitely worked for the title, so I think they might leave it on him for a little while.
Yeah, 100%. It's a well-earned thing, and it's been a long time coming. I mean, he did have the North American title in NXT, but that was such a long time ago, and that was kind of, a blip, really. So I think it's well-earned. It's funny, right? During the pandemic era, tag champ with his dad, and as good as he was then, a lot of people were like, yeah, but, nepotism and all that. But my goodness, is the man earned his position these days. So, I agree with you. It'd be nice to see him kind of continue keeping it. What about the women's IC title? Of course, we've got Becky Lynch returning. Now, a lot of people think, well, that just means she's just going to Charlotte Flair it, or Becky Lynch it is probably more appropriately, as Andy was saying a few streams back, because she seems to be the one to show up and win titles and leave straight and kind of get.
This is the thing, right? I'm obviously a big Becky fan, and but she is known for putting the other women over, isn't she? In a way that Charlotte isn't. I wonder if she wins it to get like this whole Grand Slam title thing that Bayley's not going to have, and they set her up for a big feud with Bayley, because she's not really fully had that, and I think that's the direction they might be going in.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think a lot of people are assuming that Bayley might even interfere in tonight's match as well.
I may not put that as my wild card earlier.
Oh, did you really? Okay, yeah. Just a little peek behind the curtain. Myself, Michelle, and a few friends essentially have another predictions table, and there are points at stake. It's important, and we've got to get it right. But just got to come in.
Get it right very often. Well, you do.
I try. I didn't want to say, but Gary said we are hearing the pop in. Michelle, do you know if it's coming from your earphones, the mic, or have you got anything else?
I have no idea. They're like opening up to one. So I don't know.
Can you take out the ear, or is it? I'm trying to think. What could we try?
I can try and disconnect my headphones.
Oh.
There we go.
Hey, that's better. We'll go with that. All right, let's get to. So quickly, just on before we get off that match, though. Oh, you can't hear now.
Oh, I can hear you now. See you.
Oh, no, okay, there we go, perfect. So before we
now?
Good. Before we get off of that match, we've touched on Becky a little bit there, but thoughts on Lyra, because I think, as you say, it is, to me, this is about getting Lyra over more, and then eventually probably taking the title off her to make that title over more. Ironically, I just think doing it all tonight is a bit too soon for both those things.
I think my worry with the Becky Lyra thing is Becky's not an established heel, so if you really want Lyra to be over as a face, they've got to do more work. Becky turned heel a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah, true.
But
Yeah,
they've got to ramp that up a bit. And last time she tried to go heel was Big Time Bex. It didn't quite work.
it kind of backfired, didn't it?
Yeah, massively. Interesting that her semi-heel turn's coming at about the same time as Seth's as well. Who again, when he goes heel, it doesn't fully sit because he's just so over. But
yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah, I think the Seth one's interesting because obviously people are always gonna wonder if they're going to be put together on screen in this stable or anything like that. But you've also got
rumors doing the rounds, aren't they? Like she'll be the first actual Heyman girl.
That's a good point, actually. Yeah, she would be. But I don't know if they're going to do that. I think having a heel this time makes sense as well, though, because when that clip came up of her reacting backstage, and obviously she's acting as the real person, Rebecca Quinn here, rather than Becky Lynch, and she's reacting to watching her husband do something cool on screen, which was turn heel. That didn't sit with the character being a babyface. So, like, even if she's not with Seth, it's better for her to align her morals with Seth, because I always find that in AEW is quite tricky when John Moxley is a heel and then you've got Renee Paquette interviewing people as a lovely babyface. It kind of like she kind of has to excuse or forget what her husband's getting up to, you know, like it's a bit of a weird one. So interesting there. But yeah, hopefully we see this payoff. And Lyra, in my opinion, the best case scenario is Lyra looks good by retaining and then loses the belt eventually to Becky, because I think that's inevitable, really. And it makes that belt look good.
If Becky does it, she does it by really dirty tactics. A, to establish her as a proper heel, and B, to maintain Lyra's status of I didn't lose it fairly.
Yeah, true. Always a good way to keep the baby face looking good as well with that one. Speaking of trying to keep people looking good, let's move into the US title match, because there are 4 possible answers here. But in my opinion, there's only one clear one, and that is Jacob Fatu retaining, in my opinion. Now, I think this is probably even though it should be the hardest one to predict because there are 4 options, in my opinion, it's the easiest one to predict because he's so over, not just with us as fans,
with everyone.
But clearly with the office. Like, they want to push him, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think they'd be really daft to only give him about a month on their title reign when the new bloodline's crumbled. Solo's basically just drifting. They need to make Fatu look really strong. He's really, really over. People really like him. But I do wonder if the Priest McIntyre slow bubbling feud's going to take center stage and they cross each other.
That makes sense.
LA Knight's great. I really like him, but his gimmick's his gimmick. He's not the best in the ring. He's kind of had his reign, and they've kind of thrown in him to keep the people happy, I think. But I think Fatu will retain. I don't see it going any other way. But I do see a good 10 minutes of solid Priest and McIntyre just beating the living daylights out of each other action going on.
Yeah, that makes sense. Kind of, as you say, 2 feuds basically going on at once here. Kind of it's kind of like when you see on Raw before a PLE and they put 2 feuds in a tag match or something like that. It kind of feels similar to that. But as you say, they're probably going to cause each other to not win, and Jacob kind of gets away with it. But yeah, interesting point there about the new bloodline, because you're right, it's kind of crumbled. And then Solo it must be tough, because Solo, I think, is a good talent. It's just not worked the way they wanted, and I think they pulled the trigger in the wrong way.
They brought him up way too quickly.
Into the main roster?
Yeah.
I think there's that, and then I think not. Like, the natural thing was to turn him, right? And maybe because he had come up quickly, he'd been on the main roster in that position he was in, but he weren't ready to be in the position they wanted him to be in, I feel. And it's not really worked out. It's just crazy.
He needed some time with Heyman, actually.
Yeah, well, just on his own as a... Yeah. And then also, you've got... it must be weird. I mean, I'm sure he's happy for him because they are family and whatever, but like, it must be weird to see Jacob Fatu come in with like, way less time, no NXT run, and be like... incredible. I think so. Yeah, it's and he's just something is connected with the fans, and it's undeniable. But again, people loved Solo in the early days as well, so there is that something for him there.
I don't know. There was a lot of talk about him and the potential, but he never got the pop from the crowd that Jacob gets. Yeah,
it is different. Yeah, Jacob certainly gets more, but there was a time where Solo was looked at better than he currently is, essentially. But we'll see where we go with Solo. But yeah, tonight it seems to be all about Jacob Fatu, and it seems like we both agree that he's the most likely to win. I don't think it makes any sense putting the title on Drew or Damien. But yeah.
The only thing I think is if Drew gets it, he gets to be a Grand Slam champion. Damien's already held the US title. It makes no sense to give it to him again.
Yeah, it doesn't really make sense, does it? Drew looking good though, says Gary. Yeah, I think Drew's on the form of his career at the moment, you could say, and it's continuing to be kind of must see anytime he's on camera. And I think everything he touched just kind of turns to gold. I just don't think he'll be picking up the gold tonight. So let's get to another comment here from Casper. Says Becky Lynch seemed to have a forced heel promo on Raw. Didn't really like how that come across. It seems from Casper there. I think Becky Lynch is. It's tough because, as you say, people like her. They want to cheer her. And it is, I don't know. I think she is a good heel, but she's such a star, it's hard to just do it anymore. Whereas Charlotte has the opposite problem. It's hard for her to be a babyface, you know? So,
yeah.
And they're both on the same era. They're both as kind of, you could say, legendary as each other. You know, Hall of Fame is for sure in the future. But still, two sides of the coin.
I think the best thing they could actually do to turn Becky more heel is a liner with Charlotte.
Do you think? Yeah, a little stable between the two of them.
Weird little tag team.
Yeah, you think we're like this? Well,
tactics,
do it together. Yeah, we'll kind of play up to it essentially. Gary doesn't really get the Fatu thing. He thinks it's a bit weird. Well, it's the weirdness we love, Gary. Clearly, you know. But I think that is his appeal. Casper says Becky's heel work isn't working, but Becky as a face is much better for me. I like to.
But people were complaining they were bored of her as a face.
Yeah, but I know Casper's a big fan. He wanted Becky to come back for a long, long time, so she's turned quickly. She could have turned
really anti-Bex.
It could have happened on WrestleMania. I'm glad they at least did it on Raw because I thought that Raw was great.
I'm surprised they did the turn as quickly as they did, but I think it in some ways was a really good thing.
Yeah, I mean, Backlash is always weird, right? It's always a strange card. Like, this is a very Backlash card. So
yeah, there's no Cody Rhodes, there's no Jay, there's no Seth, there's no Roman, but that also makes me think the others are really going to step up and we're going to see 5 really good matches tonight.
So yeah, you're right. It's a good position. I mean, a lot of these were featured on WrestleMania, but as you know, it's a much bigger card. Of course, it's over 2 days. There's more than 5 matches a night. So it's definitely an opportunity for some of these wrestlers. Speaking of which, let's get on to quite the opportunity here because we haven't seen him in the ring for a while. But Pat McAfee is going one-on-one with Gunther. Now, my opinion for this one, Michelle, is that Pat needs to get battered.
He's going to get battered.
He has to, right? Pattered. Nice. Surely that's what's going to happen. Right.
I think Jay runs some interference, doesn't he? Because there's been such a big deal around Cole and McAfee being big supporters of his and stuff. I think Jay runs interference. I think Gunther wins, but I think Pat gets. Is he due to take some time off for
that because when he helped Michael Cole, they most of the comments online were like, "Oh, that's to kind of write him out the story," and then it didn't happen straight away. So if that's the case, I mean, not too kind of familiar with.
He's due some time off. Maybe they have.
But it makes sense.
And Corey Graves comes back for a while or something.
Oh yeah, good point. I think worst case scenario.
God, what if Corey Graves appears during the match?
What, to beat up Pat? For taking his job, basically. That's the point, man, because they a few months ago he was kind of hinting as if he was people thought he was all
back in the ring.
Yeah, he was gonna get that's crazy. Imagine Corey Graves and Gunther form like an alliance and they're like it's the new Imperium or something.
But Corey's always been a colour commentator and sided with the bad guys, and obviously McAfee and Cole both on Jay's side in the Gunther
so he's come to level the playing field, you know.
There's no way they can have Gunther lose because he was such a dominant IC champion, and then as world heavyweight they undermine that a bit. And don't get me wrong, I'm really happy that Jay's champion, he deserves it, but it wasn't the most convincing win. So they have to have Gunther win tonight to maintain any credibility unless they're going for a really big character change.
Unless the reason they took it off him is because they're not as high as they once were, but I don't think that's the case. I think they're surely seeing a lot more for Gunther, and I think losing the title and then getting beat by Pat McAfee is not the way to go if you do want a positive future for him.
And I think they pulled the trigger on Jay because they knew they had to, because they've been accused quite rightly of missing the boat with people like LA Knight before.
Yeah, and Sami Zayn as well. As much as he has some great storylines, I think he should have been world champ by now. But it is what it is. And Jey Uso isn't advertised, but certainly could feature and kind of get involved with this match here. I mean, worst case scenario for me is Gunther loses because Michael Cole helps Pat. Or something stupid like that.
Oh my God, they're going to put him in the WrestleMania onesie, aren't they?
Oh, they could.
The Rumble,
My
the Rumble
goodness.
onesie.
I mean, that will
No
not
one
be
needs to see that.
not be a good, not just not a good look for Michael Cole, but not a good look for what it
good
does
for
to Casper. Yeah, exactly. Let's get to some of these comments
Sorry, my
here
dog's
as well.
barking.
Oh, who's your dog think's going to win? Oh, is it okay? The big dog, Roman Reigns. He's not there, but all right. Right. Gary says, "What's been happening with Charlotte? She seems a bit deflated." Yeah, you got her at the end of no, on SmackDown with who was it? Jay Cargill, of course, saying like, "Get to the back of the queue." I like that. Sundays in the House says Becky Hill got this. We'll see. I think Becky will be winning it, but not just yet. Charlotte left SmackDown, walked out last night. Yeah, weird. Something's got to happen. Maybe it will be this Becky scenario as well. Missed out on Braun TikTok. He's been let go again. Yeah, we'll get to some of these releases in a little bit, Gary. But let's throw it over to the main event. I want to get Michelle's thoughts on these before we do say goodbye to her. So, big match here, of course. Two of the biggest icons of their generation. But surely this is another example of there's only one right answer here. And for me, it's Cena,
there's
right?
no way. I think Autumn will be the one to take the belt off of him at like
really
series.
Wow,
because they're making a really big thing about one last time.
Okay.
I don't think it is the last time.
Yeah, okay.
No one's seen Cody since Mania, have they? But he probably does deserve a bit of a break. It's not happening tonight. It's too obvious to give him the belt in his hometown, and then that he's got the record now, but they're not going to carry on giving him 2 or 3 more reigns. I think he's going to either hold the belt and retire it, or it'll be Orton that takes it right before he retires, and that's when the Legend Killer thing comes back in.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Could you imagine? Like, yeah, Cena is one of the legends killed by Randy Orton. That'd be crazy.
And I
like
think
how
he'd
they
be really
played
up
into
for that because him and Randy get along really well. And
maybe
and Hall of Fame and stuff.
That's an option. That is an option. I know a lot of people want to see a young talent do something like that, but hey, if you're going to go with someone from the roster that's been there a while, I think Randy does make a lot of sense.
He deserves it. And they've since his return, they've not really done anything meaningful with him, and it feels almost like they were holding out for this. Like, so they can do this, then they can have number 2 at SummerSlam, and then end it at Survivor Series or something like that.
Okay. Look, I don't want that to happen, but I like the end part of that because I don't want to go 6 months with Randy Orton versus John Cena. And that is, a lot of us were saying earlier on, we were chatting to the guys in the chat about like, this needs to be a one and done because there are so many other people John Cena should be facing. So, but I like the end of that fantasy booking.
I love a bit of fantasy booking.
Yeah,
I'm usually wildly wrong about it.
So we're probably safe. Exactly.
It's probably not going to happen.
So general kind of thoughts on Backlash. You're looking forward to it. Do you like the card overall? Before you do hop out, are there any kind of big surprises you think we might see?
No big surprises other than the 4-way thing for the US title. I think it's probably actually going to be the best match of the night, but it does feel like it's been shoehorned together a bit. I'd be really interested to see how the card goes without all the big names. But I think it's a chance for everyone to prove themselves. So I think it will be one of those ones where we're all a bit underwhelmed feeling, but I think it will over-deliver.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think it is because, like you say, there are a lot of people on this card that have a kind of opportunity. Yeah, exactly. So, hopefully that's the case. I think it's going to be a good show. I think it's a good card as well. So I am looking forward to it. But as you say, when you haven't got Cody, you haven't got Roman, you haven't got CM Punk, it is, and you haven't got your new world champion.
No, Io, no Rhea, no Bianca.
Yeah, true.
But it is a good chance for people to show that if those wrestlers went away or they got injured or took some time off, that the company can still run.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. All right. Once again, Michelle, thanks so much for joining us. And we'll see you in the next one. Enjoy Backlash. Cheers. Bye-bye. All right. Once again, great to have Michelle back on the show. Really appreciated to get her comments and thoughts as always. And again, hopefully we'll be joined by some more members of the team throughout tonight's stream. Let me know in the comments, guys, what do you think is going to happen at Backlash? What you're most looking forward to? What did you think of Michelle's predictions there? I actually think she had some good ideas, not just because a lot of them agreed with what I say, but just generally speaking. I think the Randy Orton thing's an interesting one because, again, I don't want 3 to 6 months of Randy versus John Cena, but the end of that, where Randy takes it off of Cena, I think is kind of a cool little possible story to tell. So yeah, let me know what you think of that. And again, the other things that Michelle had to say. Now let's get to some more of these comments here as well. Casper says, good for to win this one for me. I think Pat's going to get battered as well. Excuse me. Gary said I missed out. Oh, yeah, so we saw that already, didn't we? But we'll get to that in a minute, Gary, talking about these releases. I do think Roman, Cody, and Rock appear and screw Orton. Travis Scott to show up. Oh, I just hope Travis Scott doesn't show up. It was so bad at the end of WrestleMania. So bad. Going for big angle ending at the end of tonight for Backlash, says Casper. Yeah, I think you're right. I think that is what they could do, right? Because as we say, this is, I don't want to say it's an underwhelming card, but it's a Backlash card, like, and that's just what it is. Like, after WrestleMania, the cards are a little bit different. But what you do is you have a big twist at the end to kind of kick us into gear to the next PLE. I think the next thing they've got actually is there's Saturday night's main event coming up, isn't there? So, yeah. So hopefully we do get something big at the end of tonight's show. Give me a whole yeah in the house. Dropping in the comments. Love you, dude. You too, man. I don't know who that is. I'm assuming it's Dom. Is it Dom? Or is it who is it? Who's from the crew there? Over give me a whole yeah in the house. We need something exciting. Yeah, I agree, mate. I agree. Oh, it is Dom. Good to see him. Yeah, as you say, don't think people are expecting too much because, again, it's a kind of, again, I don't want to downplay the card. There are some incredible talents on this show, but when you're missing Cody Rhodes, you're missing Roman Reigns, you're missing CM Punk, you're missing Seth Rollins, you're missing Rhea Ripley, you're missing Sky, you're missing Bianca Belair, you're missing Jey Uso, you're missing Sami Zayn. There are so many people missing off of this card. And some of that involves some of the biggest storylines going on at the moment. Seth Rollins' little stable with Bron Breakker, nowhere to be seen on this show, yet been a big part of the show lately. So, yeah, be interested to see if we do get anything related to them. Maybe they do. Maybe they claim a new member on tonight's show as well. So, yeah, Backlash is certainly one that could deliver some big stories at the end of it. Let's get to some more of these releases to talk about. Again, we mentioned Braun Strowman earlier on. We haven't actually been on air since these releases took place. So I just want to kind of quickly run through them to kind of say my thoughts. As I say, just to recap on Braun. Braun even, I could see him coming back. Simply put, I think his second run wasn't anywhere near as good as his first, but there were some good things on it. Highlights, of course, Bronson Reed feud. Amazing. The fact that didn't get a PLE match, crazy. And then also what he did with Jake and Fatu recently, I know a lot of people have enjoyed as well. Next one on the list to mention is Dakota Kai. I think Dakota Kai, again, we roughly touched on it a little bit earlier on. Rumors about, maybe her age played a factor, but there are men on the roster who are way older than that in prominent positions. I felt her not. It's crazy how you can be so close to winning a brand new title and of course, I'm not acting like it's all legit. She nearly won and all that. But, like, if she's in that position, they see something in her, even if she's not winning, in my opinion. They're testing the waters and whatever else. So for her to not win it, okay. But then to be released a little while later, it was kind of unexpected. But again, just like Braun, got released a while ago, came back. Maybe it happens again. Gallows as well. Was that one this time round, mate? I thought he was gone. Where did he go? Was that this time round? I'm not sure if that was it. I mean, that just shows how little he's been on TV. Carl Anderson as well, of course, goes with that. But was that back in no, that was a few months ago, wasn't it? Let's have a. I think I'm getting. No, anyway, whatever. Caden Carter and Katana Chance. Real weird one again. They've not used them much lately. Bit of a shame with that. But at the same time, it kind of writing on the wall, right? Like, again, clearly not being used at the moment. Sorry, I'm just trying to get the countdown show in the background just to let you know what's going on there as well. We're going to keep our eyes on that. Of course, this is your build-up show to get you hyped up in the mood for the PLE, but we are talking releases at the moment. But let's talk current affairs as well. There is a countdown show from WWE just about to start, and I'm just loading it up on the second screen. News that comes from that. Sometimes you do get storyline progression. Of course, we saw Bayley get taken out a little while ago. All right, St. Louis, Missouri. Lovely little shots of St. Louis there. All right, let me just. Oh, that's way too loud. Right, anyway, let's get back to some of these comments here. Kodabira says, yep, you're right, buddy. Countdown's just started to send 60,000. Is it that big? Flipping heck. These PLEs are getting bigger and bigger, aren't they? As far as like backlashes, yeah, the one in Puerto Rico was huge because it was a big international one. But I love that backlash, by the way. I thought it was so good. Right, anyway, let's get back to what we were talking about. At the moment, first of all, though, we can see Randy Orton. We can also see the locker room for John Cena. Not appearing at the moment on screen, though, it would seem John Cena. WWE title match, of course, the main event. We're seeing Lyra Valkyria backstage with the IC strap as well. Arriving in the arena. Or is it? It must be a stadium if it's 60,000, right? Here's Big Time Bex walking backstage. Again, I don't think she's winning tonight, but she's winning soon. She's winning soon. It's to make that title look good. Talking about titles looking good, you got Jacob Fatu there with the title. Is it me or is that title smaller? Did they shrink the US Championship? I thought it when Drew picked it up on SmackDown. Dominik Mysterio, Intercontinental Champion as well in the men's division. Again, this is a hard one to pick because Penta makes a lot of sense. But if AJ's going after the champ, I think it makes more sense to keep it on Dom. Right, anyway. Again, Carter and Chance, we saw got released again a little while ago. A shame there, in my opinion. It really messes with the tag division. A division that they mess with far too often. It's led to huge walkouts from the company. It's led to people being disappointed in kind of what WWE are presenting as far as a fan's kind of perspective as well. So it baffles me when they start to build up a team that people seem to like and then they just stop using them in favor of thrown together teams that some work and some definitely don't. Yeah, it's a shame because I'm not saying they have to be the champs, but you need other tag teams in the division, right? So yeah, a weird one there. Let's move on to the next one to talk about. These are old. Mate, I don't know what is going on with this list. I got to get out of this. This is a terrible list. I'm gonna bring up a better list, guys. I'm reading a load of crap there. Right, here we go. Braun Strowman, we said. Shayna Baszler, big shock, but also not, right? Right, again, another example of someone who just hasn't been used properly in a while. I mean, you can go all the way back, man. All the way back to, it says, it's mentioned a lot, Elimination Chamber. She was on fire. They didn't pull the trigger. She didn't become champion, and it was just completely wasted. The last time they did anything of note with her kind of on the solo front was where she faced off against Ronda Rousey, and, that didn't go the way people hoped. So, yeah, disappointing there. I really like Shayna. I've always wanted her to do that, to do more again on the main roster. Didn't happen. She was there for a long time. She had some highlights. She had some good feuds, but nowhere to the level that we expected when you saw what she was doing in NXT. So yeah, a real shame with that one. And I mean, I've managed to interview Shayna in the past. If you haven't already, check it out. It's on this very channel as well. But yeah, it's in the archive. Check it out. Let us know if you like it. But yeah, a real shame that we're not going to see her in WWE in the near future, at least. Going to get to some of these comments here as well. Talking about these releases again. Casper says, as I said, I digested the cuts a little bit. I don't think they like women's tag teams. It does feel like that, doesn't it? Gary says that Dom, I think it was, looks like an idiot. Or were you talking about Fatu there? I don't know what you're talking about there. Lynette says, hey, what's up, bro? I think Lyra Valkyria is going to beat Becky Lynch. I think so as well. I think Lyra should beat Becky. I'm not the biggest Lyra Valkyria fan. I don't dislike her, but yeah. I don't know. I think if you pulled the trigger, keep it on there longer, make her look stronger by having her beat Becky Lynch, and then eventually Becky Lynch could beat her and make the title look even bigger as well. That's my opinion anyway. That's what I think they should do. I know some people won't like that because they won't like the idea of Becky winning another title. But let's be real, it makes the title look good. So yeah, there we are. Lynette also says, for me, Damian Priest is going to win a fatal 4-way. I'm not sure about that. I think Fatu makes the most sense. I think just keeping it on Jacob Fatu is the better option, really, because Damian's held it a few times. We've also interviewed him on this channel when he was US champ, by the way, guys. But for me, I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's going to be kept on Jacob Fatu. I think that makes the most sense, in my opinion. We just had a little backstage segment there with what do you call it? What's his face? Oh, it's Byron Sexton. Okay, I thought I was hearing some. I thought I was hearing what's it? The GM. Anyway, whatever. All right, I'm getting all over the place here. Still trying to work with this new setup as well. So please bear with me, guys. We're gonna try and get some more friends of the channel join us very soon as well. But for now, let's get to some more of these comments. Okay, about the cuts, I can see somebody's coming back. Yeah, 100%, and maybe not even in the same capacity. You know, Braun Strowman, Dakota, maybe like in the future as coaches or something like that. I could kind of see that. Jacko's in the house says, how are you doing today? I am good, buddy. Hope you're well. Looking forward to Backlash. You know what we do here on this channel, right? We get your hypes up. We get you in the mood for the PLE. It is Backlash tonight. We are just under 2 hours away from the show beginning. It's about 10 past 10 here in the UK. We are live with the Countdown show. We are your watch-along experience for the Countdown. We let you know if any kind of big news comes from the Countdown. Again, at WrestleMania, right? We saw Bailey, that was it, get injured. I got Becky Lynch on the brain because I think she might be the one to be behind it. And maybe that plays into tonight's show as well. But yeah, if we get any big stories like that, we'll keep you up to date. Gary says another great one who had potential was Shayna. Yeah, as I say, definitely agree with you there, mate. Real big fan of Shayna's work. Just didn't get much luck in the later years, it would seem. Gary said, defo Fatu Scott. What was he wearing? Not a fan of Fatu's kind of, it's like a woolly, fluffy balaclava, right? Jacko says, The Rock, the final boss to return. I don't know, man. Like, if he ain't showing up at WrestleMania, is he showing up at Backlash? But then again, the biggest thing he's done this year was at Elimination Chamber. So that's not like it was the Rumble or WrestleMania or, we haven't got to SummerSlam yet, but you know what I mean? It's not a top four, is it? Casper says Lyra has held the belt for a while. True. That is another thing that puts me off the prediction for Lyra keeping it, because she has already had it for a while. But I think it's just a bad look if Becky comes back and beats her straight away. It doesn't do her any favors, in my opinion. Not just yet, anyway. Dom from the Give Me a Whole Year channel says, I love Fatu, man. He's so over with the crowd. Yeah, we were talking about it earlier with Michelle. I think this is what people expected Solo to be, and that's not a dig at Solo. It just hasn't worked out, and Fatu's just like, catapulted essentially straight away into that position. So it's been crazy. How's the new setup? Yeah, it's good, man. It's good. We're playing around. There's a lot more things to do. I tried to stick to as close to our old setup as possible as we slowly get into these new features. But yeah, we've got a lot more coming to try and spice things up on here once we get used to it as well. So yeah, appreciate that, mate. You checking in. Off air, we'll have a nice little creators kind of chat behind the scenes, and I'll compare notes with you, mate, just to give you kind of the heads up as to kind of what I've seen so far, because we you know what it's like, mate. We're all like looking out for each other. We're all creators doing the same thing, but look, we've got a good group of creative friends here for Rebellious Noise. The Give Me a Whole Year boys have been very supportive of us. They've been on our channel, we've been on their channels, WrestleSphere as well, Andrew Spores of that, and of course Wrestling Royalty. So yeah, we always love to kind of work together, and I'm sure we'll do more of that going forward. Casper says you need a women's tag team. Becky and Lyra was until they turned heel straight. But yeah, it was crazy, wasn't it? Straight away turned on her. But yeah, I liked it. I think it was one of those things that made Raw feel special. The Raw after WrestleMania was pretty fun. Gonna get to some more of these comments here, and I can see Lucas is waiting in the background, so I'm gonna bring him in very, very soon as well. But before we do that, here's a comment from Dom again. I said, I would encourage everyone to go watch Fatu's stuff in MLW. He's an animal. Great point. We were talking earlier on about how Solo kind of got the NXT run and then had a lot of time on the main roster before they put him in the position he's in. But Fatu went straight into where he's at and has kind of eclipsed that in some ways already. But it wasn't like he was new to the business. You're right. He was doing a lot of good stuff in MLW. That's the main thing I heard about MLW for quite a while, was how impressive Jacob Fatu was. He was always the rumor, weren't it? You know, in the Bloodline storyline, who's showing up? It might be Jacob Fatu, you know. Let's get to moving into bringing our next guest on. Of course, member of the channel, it is Lucas. Just going to set this up in the background, make sure we're all good and ready to go. And here we go. Here is Lucas. How you doing, mate?
Oh, hello.
Look at that fancy graphics, eh?
Yeah, it's different.
I know, yeah. So I was just saying to Dom, it's new. We're gonna, you know, it takes a while to get used to, but I like what I see so far. I wanted to keep it as close to the original setup as we had, just so we can kind of not shock the system too much. Not to use a Undisputed Era t-shirt slogan. There we go. But yeah, got to give shout outs to my wife as well, who helps with that nice little burst graphic there to bring you into the scene as well. So how you doing, man? How you feeling about Backlash tonight?
I've got kind of mixed feelings about it, really, because it feels like it's very close to, obviously, sorry, that's a soundbar thing, you know, every episode as this. Yeah, it feels very close to, obviously, Mania, doesn't it? But it also feels like its own kind of weird show and its own little bubble. But we're in a period now where they've created, and the thing is, they created this problem for themselves, with the exception of Saturday Night's Main Event, but they've just loaded so many events into like a 3 or 4 week period for no apparent reason. Because obviously after this we are going to have that aforementioned Saturday Night's Main Event, which is the only event they don't have control over, because obviously people who may not know, is something which the network dictates. It's always been the case. Saturday Night's Main Event, they say, okay, we need it this weekend, you know, and so, you know, they sign the contract. But every other event, surely they have the right to kind of like just change when they do it. But obviously we're building up this event. We are also building up for Saturday Night's Main Event, and we have to start the build soon for obviously Money in the Bank, along with the NXT Worlds Collide event, which is on the same bloody day. Like,
crazy! There's so much going on. Yeah.
You know, and then we're going to be fully in the road to obviously SummerSlam and stuff. You know, so it's all coming like really, really quickly. You know, because I think SummerSlam sometime start of August. What's July's event? Actually,
well, yeah, because was it last year they moved SummerSlam to July, didn't they? So, what's usually in that place? So you have Money in the Bank's in June, sometimes early July.
Are they doing? No, they're not doing Saudi this year at all, are they? They're waiting to the Rumble, aren't they?
Oh no, apparently there's I think they're doing
Evolution.
Evolution and Night of Champions. I think they're doing.
Okay.
In Saudi. Let's have a look. I'm sure there's like a penciled in rumored date going out there. Let me just see.
It was like 5th of July, something, wasn't it? I think that's all.
I think the 5th is Evolution, yeah. And let me see where it is here. I've got it marked down somewhere. No, where is it? I've got to find my calendar. I get all these things marked in just for around the content, just so we're ready. You know, these kind of rumored dates and stuff like that. What I've got
here is I've got Night of Champions on June 28th in Saudi Arabia, followed by Evolution on July the 5th, the week after.
Right.
But they're all like, they're both TBA, which, I mean, particularly the June one, you're like, that's 6 weeks, you know? That's 6 weeks. And obviously if they are doing Night of Champions, that obviously dictates that they're doing the whole, you know, every belt online kind of gimmick.
Yeah.
Then, you know, you'd have to be thinking that surely they'd want some feuds to be there. Maybe that's what they're gearing up towards. Obviously, they've got something with obviously Jey Uso and Logan Paul. Like, are they saving that for Saudi potentially? Obviously, Cena. I don't think he's doing the Saudi shows. So that'll be interesting how they're going to get around that. And obviously, these are again just to be confirmed. But you'd have to imagine there'd be an event in July. They're not going to go surely from. Well, I don't know. It seems like it's really weird because we went from like November to February without anything, didn't we? So we could be going 2 months about something. But sorry, to bring it back to tonight, though. Sorry, I got a bit sidetracked.
No, that's good. That's what these shows are for, mate. You know that.
All links in. I think, it just feels a bit weird, because it feels a bit. I hate to say it just feels a bit like a house show almost in a way. Like apart from that main event, which the main event is a very interesting one. And there's lots of theories, lots of thoughts, and all that, that we can get into throughout this broadcast, regarding it. As this is obviously Cena's first match and Orton's first match since WrestleMania, and they had very different WrestleManias. Usually when these things are done, WWE are a big fan of people losing upwards. See that quite often when someone will lose a championship, like Braun Breaker, for example. He lost a championship at WrestleMania, and then has been moved on to this new kind of main event program on Raw with Seth Rollins. We also see kind of, I call them like almost like de facto number one contenders matches. Like the Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre one at Mania, but the kind of de facto ones like, well, if they win this one, then they'll be the next person challenged for the main title. And if they haven't gone that way, the Drew and Damian Priest, they've obviously moved that into the into the mid card essentially, or kept in the mid card.
But squeeze it into another match, yeah.
But then obviously it feels very much like Randy Orton had. I guess maybe the original plan was obviously Randy Orton would have beaten Kevin Owens at WrestleMania in this long kind of highly heralded kind of 20-minute kind of match, and that would have been the kind of catapult. But obviously it doesn't hit the same when Randy Orton basically squashed Joe Hendry, at WrestleMania, and then John Cena had arguably one of the most divisive matches in WrestleMania history.
Yeah.
Which people are still talking about one way or the other. And so we are going into a match which, let's not forget that as WWE fans, 10 years, 15 years ago, people did not want to see this match. Okay, it got to a point where
so I said earlier, man,
did not want to see this match at all.
Yeah.
The thing is, they got great chemistry. They got great chemistry, and they have had some fantastic matches. And obviously on SmackDown, I think you've seen they've been doing the kind of showing the old highlights of the old feuds and matches and stuff. And obviously they're done in such a great way, as all these video packages are.
Yeah,
they had some really solid contests, and especially in the latter half of their rivalry, because they had to deal with obviously the company moving from the TV14, more ruthless aggression era through to the PG era, and so they had to kind of get creative with how they, did things to escalate the rivalry. And there have been some great matches, but let's not forget, there was a point in time where people did not want this match to happen and to exist, like ever. And now, obviously, nostalgia has kind of meant that, we kind of want it to happen because this being Cena's last year. And this may even lead me back into the point I made originally of they're building up quite a lot of things at once. So it may be one of those things where we don't see a decisive finish, so that it has to carry over to one of those aforementioned events where they do it again.
I hope not, man. I really hope not. I think there was a great comment in the chat earlier from Tom Talks Rubbish, basically saying, I hope this is a one and done, because there are limited dates of John Cena, and it shouldn't be wasted essentially on Randy Orton, which again, I'm happy to see this one, because I was in the camp, same as you, basically saying, look, what you were just saying there, back in the day, these matches, people didn't want to see him. Like, there was a big section of the audience that didn't want to see him, and I was one of them. As much as I appreciate both their work, and I appreciate what they're both doing at the moment in the past few years, it's a different era, and I do enjoy them. It's not something I want to see the year taken up with, basically. Going to quickly get to some of these comments as well. I am noticing some popping coming when you're speaking there, Lucas. I don't know if it's going to be better to maybe let me hop. If you want to hop out and come back in, I'm not sure if it's my headphones or if it's coming from your mic or anything like that. We had a similar issue with Michelle. Again, apologies for any tech issues here, guys. We're trying to work with a new system, but hopefully it'll be solved. So let's throw Lucas out. Lucas, if you jump out of it and come back in, we'll test from there, mate. Thank you. All right. So while Lucas does that, let's get to some of these comments as well. We've got, where is it? Gary says Becky and Flair as a tag team would be insane. I think they'd be unstoppable. Yeah, they got a similar kind of story, right? It's again what a lot of people are thinking at the moment of Becky is that she is quite like Charlotte. People coming back, winning titles, and kind of doing what they want, essentially. What else do we have? We got Casper saying hello to Lucas. Ironically, he's just hopped out, but we'll have him back in just a moment. Appreciate you sent that comment a little bit earlier, though. Casper says 5-match card again. Of course, yeah, Lucas has been talking about that quite a bit on this channel, hasn't he? About that format that Triple H wants to stick to. A shame they got no King and Queen of the Ring this year. Yeah, I agree as well. Let's see if we can bring Lucas back in here, by the way, guys. Let's see if this fixes the issue. Here he is. All right, let's see if that fixes it. Speak, boy, speak.
Hopefully it has.
Not to pretend you're a dog. You know what? You know why that's in my mind? I literally just watched the competition, a video of a competition of dogs diving. Who can dive the furthest into a swimming pool? It was incredible, guys. Look it up on YouTube. It was put together like it was an Olympic sport. It was amazing. Anyway, I think I can still hear a little crackle in there, but it doesn't seem as bad. Guys, let us know in the comment if you can hear it. If not, we'll try something again with Lucas can come basically just shut down the app and then come back in or something like that. We'll see. But let's get to some more of these comments here. Dom says, hey, man, we'll say in the comments, really pleased for you and this new setup. Can't wait to hear more about it. You both look lovely. Thank you, mate. Appreciate it. I'm sure you're looking lovely as well, mate, but we're happy to have you in the comments either way. Casper says NXT Battleground is coming May 25th, the week after. The no time gap. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on there, right? We've got Saturday night's main event, Battleground, and again, as we go into June and July, there's so much going on there.
Well, yeah,
I think in July there's another
doing,
Saturday night.
where is it again? Oh, they're doing like all 5 shows, aren't they, over a weekend?
Is it when
San Diego? Is it?
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah,
Tampa.
Is it? Let's have a look.
Yeah, it's Tampa because Battleground has gotten the new treatment that they do now. Where Battleground's called Battleground Tampa. You know, like obviously that's like Backlash St. Louis. You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean they're doing a residency. You know, residency, like a weekend.
You're right. Yeah.
Over these things, and obviously similar to how they're going to be doing it with Clash later in the year, and how they're doing it with Perth as well. When they're doing the multiple shows in the same kind of location. But yeah, it's definitely really a stacked kind of period.
Yeah.
Look, don't get me wrong, it is somewhat good, particularly after we have the drought. But it just feels a bit like they've got to be careful of how they're doing these things because, you know, in my opinion, tonight doesn't feel as big or as must see as some of the other stuff that they've got coming up on the slate, because obviously Money in the Bank, we know that's a big one because that will determine essentially most of the world title pictures for the next year anyway. Then obviously we've got the Saudi events, which they always have this grand kind of spectacle about them, which even though, yes, we can leave the political side to one side, there is still that kind of grandness about them where we do usually get, and it is one of the rare ones now outside of SummerSlam, WrestleMania, where we do get more than 5 matches. So it creates some interesting kind of combinations and interesting kind of people who we could see on those events because, you know, they are able to dictate that they can get more, you know, out of this. And I'd even argue like the Saturday night's main event, like they're quite a fun show, you know, they're quite a fun show. So tonight just feels a bit, I don't know, it just feels a bit like, I think it will be a solid show from an in-ring point of view, but I just feel it's not really like a full PLE worthy like show, like on paper.
Yeah, it's weird because the way I've just been describing it is, it's a Backlash card. Like Backlash, and that's not a bad thing because there's been some great Backlashes in the past, but it is a weird period. But I don't think it is a bad card. I think it's just, again, it's missing so many big names. When Michelle was on earlier on, she highlighted some of them. You got Roman Reigns, CM Punk, Seth Rollins, Io Sky, Bianca Belair, Rhea Ripley, Jey Uso. None of them, you know, advertised on the card. Some of them might show up tonight. Cody Rhodes, of course, a big rumor of we'll touch on in a little bit as well. So it's definitely kind of lacking some of those stars, but I don't think it's lacking star power. I think there's still big names on this card, still big matches to look forward to.
I think they're relying upon like the Cena Orton thing like a lot. They struck gold with obviously the Jacob. They made 2 mid-card title changes at Mania that were very well received by the audience, in Dominik Mysterio and Jacob Fatu. You know, and I think that they're kind of riding those coattails a little bit. And they've merged obviously the Jacob Fatu stuff in with this kind of big story that's going on, which it still feels like we've got something with Drew and the Bloodline and Solar Code, like all these kind of elements are kind of all merged together, building towards something. And it is just a case, but it also, even outside the story element, it's just that combination of guys who they know they can get good matches out of, so they can keep kind of going to that well of like, okay, Jacob can face Drew, then he can face LA Knight, and then he can. But also you've got these people where they need to protect some of these people as well from kind of constant losses. LA Knight now has lost the United States Championship twice. Jacob Fatu obviously still undefeated, and rightfully so. Drew McIntyre, obviously someone who won at WrestleMania, but at the expense of Damian Priest, someone who, last year won at WrestleMania, and there's a kind of there's a lot to unpack, with this. But it was very interesting because I think I said in the chat the other day, in our chat the other day, I said what I think as fans now we've got to remember and get used to is that whereas before they used the television to build up the pay-per-views, they now kind of use the television to build up the television, and everything gears on the television, because end of the day, this is kind of the contracts they have, obviously with like Netflix and Peacock, kind of solely revolve around the television, because without those deals, the television wouldn't actually exist, and we just have the monthly cards.
Yeah,
and it's an interesting thing because we're so used to. And it was so prevalent, it was evident to what happened on Raw. Like, Raw ended, the whole usual idea of a go-home show, for a pay-per-view or PLE was that, whatever they're trying to sell you, that last 10 minutes of the show would be, okay, buy it. Like, we want you to buy it. So this is what we're going to, this is the promise, that this is our hook, this is what we want you to see. But they ended Raw with people who are not on the show. Jey Uso, CM Punk, Braun Breaker, Seth Rollins.
Yeah.
All not on the show at all.
Not officially, anyway. We might see some of them show up in some capacity, but you're right. I mean, it's weird. That is your opportunity to sell the PLE, and you didn't sell the PLE because you focused on. We've had it a lot since Triple H took over. Storylines that don't even get off the weeklies.
Yeah.
And you've had also because we were talking earlier on before you came on the air as well about when Logan Paul attacked Jey Uso, which I think was done really, really well. It wasn't even done on Raw, which I think was kind of cool as well. I think they wanted to create like a viral thing, and I think it did somewhat work. So they've done this a few times. They start setting up a feud like a week before a PLE or 2 weeks before a PLE that isn't going to be on that PLE. And it feels somewhat distracting, but it also seems good because it just shows how deep the roster is, but kind of is confusing. Like, I don't know if there's an even argument to be even stricter with the roster split and bring back branded PLEs, Raw PLEs, SmackDown PLEs, and then every now and then have the big ones as two shows. I mean, maybe that's an option.
Well, the thing is, I think with obviously the fact that we only get 5 matches now on a PLE, it may be something they could look into.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of do it already, right? Like, there's Roman's on, then he's off. Then he's on, then he's off. It kind of works like that already, it feels, with some of the talents.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously, Nia Jax and Alexa Bliss, 2 women who have just made returns after, months out. I think both been since the Chamber, actually, both of them, actually. The last time they had a match. And then they returned after WrestleMania. And, yeah, it's just very much on and off. And obviously, at the moment, there's a report going on about Bayley. She's not injured. She's just not being used for whatever reason. They decided to put some brakes on her, give her, or maybe there might be other stuff to come out, but it's very much a case of that she's not injured and she's just not going to be on TV. And one would imagine that's most likely down to the Becky Lynch situation, which obviously is something we will get to tonight when what I think will happen. I think that the whole idea was to remove Bayley from the situation completely so that Becky can kind of get away and get that belt, essentially. And there wouldn't be that kind of, we still got to tie stuff up with Bayley, have her on TV, and then risk obviously doing the typical thing that they have done so many times and shoehorn someone into like a triple threat for no apparent reason. So they're just gone, be you off TV.
Good point.
Belt.
No, true.
Belt, do whatever she needs to do, and then when we need you back, maybe to win the belt off Becky, if that is the end goal, or once Becky is done with, the belt, then you can come back. But yeah, it just feel like sometimes there could be need for it, because even this week, because the thing is, there's some people as well who kind of end up working and existing in their own bubble. in the company. Like
Yeah.
Charlotte Flair at the moment, like she's just in her own bubble. Like she's doing her own thing.
Yeah,
Like,
and no one knows what that thing is, but
yeah, no one knows
she's
that
doing.
is. And there's a handful of people like that where you're just like, I mean, A-Town Down Under and two other people. They exist in their own bubble. They started a feud with the Viking Raiders, the War Raiders, and decided that was a number one contenders thing. And then they decided it wasn't a number one contenders thing, and they wanted to then feud with the New Day to get the tag belts, and that's not happening either. And it's just like, okay, okay,
yeah.
And now they're back to hating each other again and being all, feuding, and the feud before the split tease happened before, didn't it? About this time last year.
Yeah, we're back there again.
It went out the window, and they even did the whole like when they went down to NXT, it was the whole like it was a setup, wasn't it, to get over, and so it was like a joke. They were playing on it a bit. Then they went back to teaming properly. And now they're back to like trying to feud with each other again.
Yeah.
It's like they're literally doing their own thing.
They just go around the cycle. Yeah.
And
kind of just a placeholder, really, isn't it? Like where you need them, they'll be slotted in. Kind of like a Miz or Dolph Ziggler, for years, how they can just kind of slot them in anywhere. I mean, it's strange because you do feel like that. It's a big story that can explode and be something, but they seem to never know when they want to do it. And are they just trying to keep it fresh by?
I think the problem is, in my opinion, and probably in most fans' opinions, maybe in their opinion as well, is that when that split happens, they most likely they need to decide which one of those people they want to push. And by push, I mean to win a singles title within a month or two of that split happening. So do they want Austin Theory to break away and become that mega babyface?
Probably not ready for him.
Then he wins maybe the US or the IC title as a babyface and does that. Or do they want Grayson Waller to basically do the Shawn Michaels through a barbershop, kicking through a barbershop window, and become like that kind of cocky villain, and again get one of those mid-card belts. But the situation they've put themselves in is that, and to be fair, some of it is because of other things that are actually working good, is that they've got quite a lot of kind of bubbling under contenders and things that people want to see in those divisions already. So with Dominik Mysterio, we've got the fact that Finn Balor is going to turn on Dominik Mysterio eventually. Like, that's very much looking like something that's going to happen. We've also got the fact that Penta is ridiculously over. And could even pull out an upset tonight, even if it is one of those. Again, we spoke about it last month, I think, as well. But even if it's one of those like 24-hour title reigns where he wins tonight, get that big pop, and again because they got to break this. There's kind of this backlash stigma. I think there are all the few events like that, like Backlash, where it just feels a bit like it's just usually with WrestleMania rematches or matches that don't really matter. But if they give it every now and again they go, oh, there's a title change. People go, okay, it kind of makes it worth. You might want to watch it just because there'll be a title change kind of thing. I mean, let's not forget, Hulk Hogan won his final ever WWF Championship, at a Backlash.
Oh yeah, he did. Yeah, good point. Like again, Backlash. It's not a diss to say like, oh, this is a very Backlash card because they've been meaningful Backlash matches, great ones in recent years.
Debut as well.
And I love the one in Puerto Rico a few years ago. Was a great Backlash. Last year's one I don't think lived up to importance as far as storyline, but I think it was just a fun show because of the crowd. Let's get to some of these comments here, and we will then get on to your actual predictions for these matches as well. So let's just get to some of these here. Gary was saying he couldn't hear anything. I hope that's not the case anymore, Gary. Let me know if anyone's having trouble with the audio. Let us know in the comments again. Appreciate you sticking with us. We're trying some new things here tonight, so apologies if there are teething problems. Casper's really enjoying the stuff that Dark State's doing in NXT. Any news on the WWE draft coming up? I haven't heard much lately, but you'd imagine this is going to happen soon. Maybe even announce tonight on Backlash. It's this kind of period, isn't it? Gary wants to see Hell in a Cell come back. I don't like it as a PLE. It's been replaced by Bad Blood, it would seem, which I think is much better. Probably will still have the matches going forward.
Itself,
maybe. I mean, could do. So it was CM Punk last year, wasn't it? CM Punk Drew, that was great. So yeah, hopefully, if the storyline deserves it, then fair enough. Temple Play says the build up for this PLE has been poor. I'm sure you're not meaning this build up show, Temple Plays, and you mean the build leading to this. As far as the storyline's getting towards it. But I think it's been I wouldn't say poor. I've enjoyed it, but as we said earlier on, there's a lot of stories going on in the background that are nothing to do with this show, which is kind of strange. But that's something they seem to do quite a lot lately. Casper saying, I think Cena, Cody Rhodes, Roman, Rock, and Cena and Travis turned on Orton, and Orton wondered what the hell's going on. I heard a rumor that they're all got the Hollywood thing in common, and that they're going to go to Hollywood. That's an interesting angle there. Again, if anyone's not part of that crew for me, it's Cody Rhodes, especially at the moment. But an interesting point. El Grande Briticano is back in the house. Great to see you, buddy. This purely needs my brother on the card. See. Yeah, Noah Grande Americano, a big kind of character at the moment. Again, not being used on this PLE.
But this is where you realise that the format from WrestleMania has become, obviously, that it's a big show and they do squeeze on a lot of the mid-card acts. But then a regular, PLE, which had the 5 matches, those people instantly just don't get a look in.
Yeah.
And this has become one of the problems, because most likely a character, I'm going to assume something and put it out there, because I think the ending of the El Grande Americano thing should really happen at the Worlds Collide event. The whole thing, there should be something there.
Could be, yeah.
They're doing a lot. And it's only like little things. Obviously, technically, the main event of SmackDown last night was the tag match between Rey Fenix and Andrade against Los Garza.
Mm.
They have been featuring, making an effort to feature, obviously, a lot of luchador talent. On the shows, and obviously, as much as it sucks for Mysterio being injured, you have to imagine that him being injured has kind of given extra time to other people. And I do hope they don't sleep on Dragon Lee. I think that it's a big shame that obviously they decided to. It was good, obviously, for Rey Fenix. Don't be wrong, but I do think it's a bit like Dragon Lee's been there for like 2.5 years, bro.
No, it was.
You chose someone who was there like for 2 weeks.
Yeah, bit of a slap in the face.
But I do think that the mid card is the one that suffers quite a lot. When it gets back to these 5-match PLEs, and which is where I think it wouldn't suffer as much if they did do your suggestion a few minutes ago about splitting the pay-per-view cards, up. Particularly when they're going to have so many close together anyway. Just have one for Raw, one for SmackDown, and then obviously do the NXT events, obviously, as they are.
As we said earlier on, there, the next few months, May, June, July, seems stacked, and there's varying levels of kind of how big the show is, but there's enough shows to spread out that talent, and it's definitely something they could be doing.
Yeah, I think as well, like going back to someone's comment a few minutes ago, before the Hell in a Cell one,
was it about the draft?
Yeah, about the draft.
Yeah.
So I think the thing with that is, where would you even slot that in now? Because there's so many Dark State as well. I actually think we'll get onto that more maybe when we do an NXT thing. But in terms of the draft, I think that where would you even slot that in? Like, they've already done the, what do they call it earlier this year? Like the
transfer window. Yeah.
And they've done just the people just appearing and showing up gimmick. I think I'm on the fence with this, because I kind of think one part of me thinks that if they're not going to be somewhat strict, just abandon the draft split altogether. Just say, okay, people can show up whenever they want. There'd be like a loose kind of brand split-ish, but there'd still always be like, well, if you want, because a bit like when Vince started the wild card rule, and it was like going to be like 3 wrestlers, and then 1 week there was like 4 or 5 wrestlers, and he went, oh, now it's 4 this week, or whatever. Once a year, it's allowed to be 5. It's like, okay, but they've not really cared about it for a long while, and usually we've known that WrestleMania season, they loosen it, but even then, like, they're missing the trick, because the original appeal to a lot of this stuff was WrestleMania or SummerSlam or Survivor Series, another one that's around the Rumble. Those the big 4 were the only times where you saw Raw vs SmackDown kind of take place and happen. Whereas now it's like whenever they just fancy it, So part of me's like that. But then also I'm aware that when I do look back, I remember that weird period they had in like 2016, before the Browns, like 2015 to 2014, 2016, sorry.
Yeah.
Where you'd have just like basically rematches take place from SmackDown on Raw, and then vice
Yeah,
versa.
yeah.
And you'd still only have about 8 to 10 wrestlers actually booked, and a lot of people, you know, in main spots. A lot of people obviously not doing much.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. A lot of these things we look at when they're not happening as ways to fix problems, but then they seem to fall back into those same problems, you know, like because there were times when the brand split in the past where I was like, oh, I'm glad they're getting rid of that. And then there were times where I'm like, oh, I think the brand split would fix things. But, you know, or like the PLEs where one's a Raw one, one's a SmackDown one. Some of them are crap, you know, so it's tough.
The issue is, I mean, the issue when they did it, obviously, when they first brought back the brand split in 2016, is that they were all too close together. And, you know, the booking at the time was very much geared around the rematch taking place on TV. And so it made it, because you know, that's when they really went to town with the whole automatic rematch clause and all that kind of stuff. And it got to the point where you didn't have to see a pay-per-view. And something, I mean, I remember saying at the time was that obviously pre-network era, you know, we remember this more as Brits because, you know, if we've had to deal with obviously not just paying for pay-per-views, but obviously having to watch them at awkward times, was before it. I genuinely believe this to be the case, is that before the network era, you paid $12.99, $14.99 for pay-per-view, and it was once. It was one thing you paid for, and so I think they put a lot of effort and time into, even if, particularly in like the year 2000, when things got a bit crazy, and things got a bit like, oh god, it still very much felt like, okay, this is a pay-per-view at least. Like there's different matches, there's different feuds. Again, these all might be rubbish, but it's still a case of, okay, this is a pay-per-view. They're putting, you know, they're putting on all the title matches, putting gimmick matches, really, like, you know, selling it to you. And obviously, you know, they struggled for a long time before the network era. But hey ho. But then when the network era started, it then went from, okay, $14.99 for one show to $9.99 for that show. Plus, obviously, the network had different eras and phases. And we probably need to do a lot of more discussion about the history of the network because it's quite fascinating.
Yeah.
Remember they had the live stream, original content, Legends. They tried every single different genre of television, it felt like. As well as obviously NXT being a big part of the network at the start, as NXT was the first live wrestling they put on there. But you know, you went from that for $14.99 for one show to $9.99 for all the stuff. So, in my opinion, I think what happened is they started realizing, well, we don't need to give the people the $14.99 pay per view because we're already giving them for $9.99, like all that stuff. Whereas before, if you wanted to have that stuff alongside your pay per view for $14.99, you had to buy the DVD. Like, there's no other way. Like, you know, or you could have recorded stuff on VHS tapes and had tapes of, you know, SmackDown and Raw episodes or whatever. But I don't think anyone thought like that back then. It was very much a case of, oh no, I buy the DVDs or you know, all that kind of stuff. And so it would cost you hundreds, if not thousands of pounds, to collect all the stuff that the network just went, okay, this is all yours.
It's all there. Yeah.
And I think that was a problem. They realised that they didn't have to really bother because people were subscribing, money was coming in.
Got their money's worth in another way, and
But I think if they were to bring it back now under the kind of TKO, and this is where, to be fair, the TKO model could help, is because obviously they do restrict things, you know, almost to like a rationing kind of way, it seems sometimes. I do feel they'll be a bit more stringent with it. But I don't know if you saw, I can't remember what reporter said it now, there's so many people that report on this stuff, but I think with Brian Alvarez, he kind of said he had spoken to talent about the 5-match format, and that talent we didn't have much to grumble over, but did say that they do feel that it's more earned now, pay-per-view spot, you know, than it used to be. Because I think before it was almost like a rite of passage, wasn't it? It was a case of like, well,
you're in this feud, it will be on it.
Like, you know, and again, they were building up, even like smaller feuds. But I think that's the problem, I think, for me. Like, a lot of the smaller feuds don't make it outside of, you know, television, which I just feel for some people it could help. Because when we flash forward to maybe Survivor Series, but definitely the Royal Rumble, and we're in situations where people's music is hitting. They're making their way to the ring.
Yeah.
And we're not, until that person gets in the ring and the camera zooms in on their face, like some wrestlers I just do not know. Like a lot of the fan base just do not know because we're not used to seeing them actually wrestle or actually be a part of something that's important. So that, because obviously when you watch on TV on Raw or SmackDown, a lot of times the entrances get cut from people, don't they?
Or people watch highlights and they don't.
Or the
feature
stupid
everything.
decision they made this year, for example, to give Finn Balor new music at the Rumble, like in the Rumble match.
We could spend ages talking about the decisions around
build it up or
theme
have
songs.
Announce it or do something.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be different if we had like a one-on-one match, because then it's like, okay, the commentator can talk.
You'd know who it was. Yeah.
And you know what to expect as well, because you have his opponent come out first. It's like, when you're in a match with 30 bloody wrestlers, and again now the fact that there's 2 of these matches now with 30 wrestlers in, not just one. Like you have to expect fans to basically know 60 plus entrance themes. Which we would do if we had seen these people like throughout like the year actually get their chances on pay-per-views and stuff, but we don't see that as much. But I don't know what the comments are saying, but I think there definitely is something there with your idea about the split pay-per-views, or maybe even utilising Saturday night's main event and saying one's a Raw one, one's a SmackDown one, so that you kind of have a de facto fallout or build-up show to whatever pay-per-view happened around it, for that brand. Because I think Saturday night's main event could actually be a big saving grace for a lot of their mid-card feuds and rivalries, because in my opinion it dictates that. But obviously Saturday night's main event usually has matches, dark matches, isn't it, after or before that take place. You can get away with having, like, in my opinion, like, one world title match for the men or women, and then a couple mid-card matches, and then maybe a tag match or whatever, or like a, I don't know, just like a, I guess as well, maybe sometimes like a fun match as well. It just feels like every time we see these 5-match cards, it's always like the big blood feuds, and like, I get that. I don't want it going silly, too much, but I do think sometimes, would it hurt just to like have like a 5-minute match? Just have someone have like Miz come out and moan and do something, and then have Aleister Black come out and be like, "Oh, we're having a match now." Like,
I mean, a lot of the good stuff we've seen on Raw and SmackDown in the past few years, and again, we've talked about this a few times, but the argument could be, well, it makes those shows enjoyable. But I think you got to look at things like the TLC match on SmackDown recently, the Braun Strowman and Bronson Reed feud. There are so many of these things. You're like, how's that not in the PLE? And they would fix some of those issues. They just say when you get to the bigger ones, when that audience that haven't been exposed are suddenly supposed to care about these guys, but hasn't. Because there are sections of the audience that watch wrestling very differently. Some watch everything, some only watch certain things, some will watch in highlights and stuff like that. So it's a really, really tough one. I'm going to quickly get to some of these comments here, and then I'm going to bring in our next special guest. So we'll run through some of these, and we'll pick some of these up, I'm sure, as we continue the conversation as far as diving further into the points. But Christopher thinks that Bayley is going to return tonight. Great to have you back in the house, Christopher. Casper also says Bayley versus Becky. We have to see them feud at some point. Yeah, we touched on that a little bit already, didn't we? That Bayley looks like it might be returning. Could even be tonight. Again, we'll touch on that in more detail very soon. Casper says A-Town Down Under, Austin versus Grayson Waller coming soon, but as we say, feels like it's been the case for over a year now, doesn't it?
Was that comment from this year, Casper?
yeah. Casper wrote that a year ago. Christopher says Lyra won, Becky nil. Thinks that will be the result at the end of the night, it would seem. Yeah, exactly. We'll get to that in a bit. Comment here from Jigsaw. The Jigsaw? Could it be? Says Backlash PLE. Would you sacrifice one of your family members not to watch PLE? Big and tight. Make a choice. Live or die. You know what, Jigsaw? I'm going to give it a little bit of a miss there. But hey, there's perfect time for me to plug the Talking Beans podcast where we covered some of the Saw movies. So go check that out as well. Casper says, it would be a shame if Dom loses the belt to Penta, but I do love both. Yeah, we'll get to that match in a bit more detail very soon. I think that's a hard one to pick, actually. I do think that Dom is likely to not have a long reign, and Penta is likely to win it. Whether it goes down tonight, we'll have to see. Tony just clearing things up for us here, saying audio perfect on my side. Thank you so much for that as well. And Gary, okay, yeah, you wasn't hearing the popping. It must just be my headphones. So I appreciate that, guys. Again, we're working with some new kind of products here, so just want to make sure everything's all going smoothly. So thank you for the heads up there, guys. Christopher says betting odds on a women's IC title to change is the only one to change hands. Yeah, my original prediction said that no titles will change hands. So again, it'd be interesting to see what Lucas has to say with that in a moment as well. What else do we have? Gunther destroys Pat and Goldberg comes out. I mean, that's a shout. That is a shout. I mean, again, we'll touch on that match very, very soon. I think the only way to go is for Pat to get battered. As much as I like him, I think you need Gunther looking strong, but Goldberg's a good shout. We'll get to that very soon, as I say. Temple Play says the Machine Gun, Street Profits, DIY, Pretty the Los Garza, Legado, Lucha Brothers, Andrade and Dragon Lee, White Six, Loomis and Rowan, Gacy, Rowan, and Gacy, Fraxium and Tongas is a stacked tag division, but we're not seeing it pull off like that, is it? But we are seeing a bit more. You know, we've got Fraxium doing well lately as well. They need to work on the Raw division side, says Temple Plays as well.
Like, it does seem like they put all the tag teams on SmackDown and only like 3 on Raw.
Yeah.
I mean,
and then it was the Raw one that went on WrestleMania, man. Go figure. Right. Casper says, I'm loving Ray Phoenix still. Did miss some of SmackDown last night. Bits and pieces being on 3 o'clock in the morning. But love seeing her calling Randy Orton furniture and the Lazy Boy. We'll touch on that feud a bit more as well very soon. It's going to be a big one. I think we're going to end the show with something big tonight. I really do. Kieran is really excited for Backlash tonight. Good to hear that, Kieran. You know what this show's all about, guys. Getting us hyped up and you guys hyped up for the PLE. And it always works, if I'm honest. I got to be bragging because I do think we do have a great product here at the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. If you haven't subscribed already, hey, make sure you do. This is what we're about here on this channel. Keeping the comments coming. We'd love it, guys. I hear voices coming out of my head, guys. Think Randy Orton's going to win, do you, Kieran? Casper says, I think the match card should be bigger, in my opinion. People not getting TV time. Raw had too many women's matches. I know they're getting more airtime, but with the cuts, the women's tag teams are poor. Yeah, we touched on this earlier on, didn't we? Talking about Chance and Qatar. Caden, Chance, and Katana. I'm getting those names mixed up, but you know what I'm talking about there. Yeah, there we go. Being let go. It was a shame when you do have, a ready-made tag team to use there and they're not. Temple Places, Blair Davenport, aka B. Priestley, made a New Japan return. Also later on tonight, returned to Stardom and joined the Hate faction. She was in and kicked out the leader, became the leader of Hate. Okay, I haven't seen any of that, but yeah, thanks for keeping us up to date as well. What else do we have here? Casper says, I'm saying a lot of women should be getting more airtime. Second Raw after WrestleMania has had me rattled. And last time Pat had a match was Adam Cole.
I think they've done a better job. They've done a good job of booking the women, on TV at least. And because they've got, especially on Raw, I think with the, do we still call them call-ups, I guess, with Roxanne Perez and Julia?
Hard to tell, isn't it? Yeah, so much going on with those guys.
Coming up, I think to be fair, it has given that division a kick up the arse because, they would go back to, in a heartbeat, just Rhea Mysterio again, which, look, it's fine.
Yeah, true.
I'm sure it's fine, but there's no real excitement there because, it's just the same women fighting for the same belt over and over and over again for eternity. But I think at least with obviously Roxanne and Julia added to it, it's just different.
Yeah, no, it freshens up not only Raw, but those kind of bigger names, if you will. Like seeing Rhea in the ring with these other guys was refreshing, So, yes. I've enjoyed seeing that. Go on.
And do you know how much I love Roxanne Perez? And we spoke about the fact that she got done dirty at WrestleMania. I'm sorry. Absolutely got done. If she had walked out the day after WrestleMania, I would have been on her side 100% to look. Because you put so much into her at the start of the year
to not lose her.
And then for every reason decided, and this is all, I think this is all going to come out eventually. Wrestlers Talk, there's podcasts and dirt sheets for a reason. But something definitely changed because the plan, if correct me if I'm wrong, the plan must have been to do Bayley versus Roxanne Perez at WrestleMania or at Stand and Deliver. So as part of WrestleMania weekend, even if it's on WrestleMania SmackDown before WrestleMania, something like that, like to do that match. And for some reason, Roxanne Perez then just went back to NXT and had to find another route on the Stand and Deliver. I think she ended up on the pre-show. I think she had the tag, women's tag match, which again, kind of weird because considering they just got half a division now. It was a very solid match. And now she's back on the main roster doing something different, which just screams to me that they know they messed up. And big time messed up with that because that was a feud which I think really people could have sunk their teeth into. But it was already getting a lot of attention. Before one of those where all you had to do was do the match. Like,
yeah. It was ready made. It was like you're right. I think it does seem like someone changed their mind. That I just don't, and why, whether it was called for or not, we won't know. But
because all that story with obviously Becky, them being a tag team, and then Becky coming, it's something to do with. I don't want to blame Becky Lynch, but it just feels like there's something with that story happening meant that Roxanne and Bayley couldn't.
Got scrapped.
And then
they needed Bayley
the robbery
in
of it all is that then Bayley ended up not on WrestleMania either. So there's something there, and I think, and that's why I'm pleased to see Roxanne, be on main roster television.
Yeah.
And I would like to see her pick up a few more wins, though. I think it's very important, because something which, again, touching upon that SmackDown tag division, which is stacked as hell. Again, small spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen SmackDown last night. But obviously, Fraxium, they beat the Street Profits. So they're now 3-0 on SmackDown. And they're a tag team which, really, can't stop. You can't stop really talking about them. How good they are.
Yeah.
And how good they have
Great
been.
Start.
And they had basically outgrown NXT. Very much so. And and now it feels almost like they've been able to debut and been on the level of the top tag teams in the company. But I do feel that Roxanne and Julia need a couple of wins on the main roster just to kind of establish themselves as we're here to stay and we mean business kind of thing. So I hope that happens. But I do think they've been doing a better job of booking the women since then. And obviously we have got the fact that tonight we have got obviously a women's mid-card title match on the show in Becky and Lyra Valkyria. But it just feels a bit odd then not having obviously another women's match. We're talking about women's tag teams, they completely gutted that division, and we haven't got one of the tag team champions currently filming a movie, which I feel kind of odd.
Bad timing.
Yeah, very bad timing.
Yeah. And I again, and going back to the NXT thing, I think you're right. It's not a call up, because it seems like that what they used to do back in the early days of NXT, they use NXT's talent to promote NXT, to say, go watch NXT. And I think it's working, but strange when it felt like Roxanne had been called up around Rumble time anyway. But look, we'll jump into more of that in a bit. Let's go back to some of these comments here as well. Interesting one that I saw from Temple Plays. It says, last time Pat had a match was Adam Cole in NXT Black and Gold. Fact of the day, my guys. But then follows it up with, I might be wrong with that. Pat versus Cole match, I don't know. I think you are wrong, because I feel like that was his first, and he had one at SummerSlam. I was trying to remember this earlier, Lucas. Do you remember any other matches that Pat had? I feel like he had a SummerSlam match with Austin Theory or someone like that.
He obviously
WrestleMania.
WrestleMania, didn't he?
Yeah.
Which I think he's from. Wasn't he in War Games as well around the same time, for NXT?
I don't know.
Wasn't he one of the members of War Games?
No, was he? No. All right, let's have a look. I'm gonna find his.
Didn't he do the Canadian off the cage? He got Canadian.
Right.
I don't know.
Here's his history. Right, we go with Adam Cole in 2020. He was in. You're right. He was in War Games. It was Danny Burch, Ernie Lorcan, Pat McAfee, and Pete Dunne versus the Undisputed Era. He then faced Austin Theory at WrestleMania 38 and Vince McMahon at WrestleMania 38. He beat Happy Corbin at SummerSlam 2022. That's what I was thinking of. WrestleMania 39, he beat The Miz. And then he was in the Royal Rumble in 2024. So he's got a few matches under his belt now. And again, always enjoy them. But he needs to get battered tonight by Gunther. But we'll get to that in a moment. I do want to know Lucas's thoughts on that. And we're going to bring in our very special guest in a moment as well. Just going to get to a few more of these comments here before we do that. Kieran has a feeling that the first match will be the one we were just talking about there. That it will be Pat McAfee versus Gunther. We'll get into kind of talk about potential placement of card in just a moment as well. Temple says Bayley walks out, Charlotte walks out, Becky walks out, Radical Style shows up in AEW. Could you imagine? Yeah, I don't see it happening, but hey, I'm all here for the fantasy booking, mate. Mr. Wrinkles in the house. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. And Casper talking about again Raw and SmackDown, but sometimes finish show feel a little bit off. I don't blame Becky Lynch, I guess, for being in the position she's in. Temple says Lyra beats Becky. Roxanne is the one to take the title off of Lyra. Remember this comment. All right, I'm going to hold you to it, Temple. Come back back in the future, and we'll see if you got that right. Mr. Wrinkle says Bayley gets Lyra disqualified and retains the title. Could be the case. Burn the women's tag titles or put them on NXT is the solution that Temple says. Casper also says just sometimes feels.
Well, the thing is, they had that option because they had obviously Jakara
They mixed
Jackson
them together. Don't.
They've had
We can be here all night. Just
women's tag teams.
Yeah.
Challenge for those belts. They could have just done that title change already.
Yeah, true. Just sometimes feels like things on Raw and SmackDown. Wait, hold on a second. Just sometimes feel on Raw and SmackDown. Sometimes, but agree with you, Lucas. They did a better job with the women in booking the women on these shows. And Mr. Wrinkles agrees with Temple Plays as well. Right, let's bring in our next guest. You saw him on WrestleMania content, and we are glad to have him back for our Backlash build-up show as well. Welcome to the show, everyone. Friend of the channel, Amadeus. How you doing, mate?
Hello.
How are you, mate?
Me in, mate, but I've got no sound on my end, so I'm just going off on a whim.
Can you hear me? So you can't hear us?
I cannot hear a word you are saying. There's nothing happening. My computer's got sand. I'm over here panicking. I don't know what's going on. All
right. Don't worry. Remain calm.
I'll be back.
Remain calm. We'll bring you back. All right. So while he sorts out some tech issues there, we'll bring him back for now. Oh, it looks like I've lost Lucas. What's going on there? I've lost Lucas as well. What is going on? Right. It's just me, Oos. Oh, there we go. Right. Let's see if we can fix that, and we'll get Lucas back in a moment as well. Gonna get back to some of these comments here and what we were talking about there. Again, I'm looking forward to Pat McAfee. Whether or not opens the show, I don't know. Let's see if there's any kind of stories out there, guys. Let us know if you're hearing any kind of rumors as far as kind of, what the match order could be or anything like that. But I think we should have Lucas back here in a moment. Let's just see. But in the meantime, again, I'm going to look out and see. That's what this show's all about, guys. Getting hyped up, getting in the mood. And we can't do that without talking rumors, right? Last minute rumors. Who's got some? Let us know in the comment. Reading online, people speculating that R-Truth could be facing John Cena soon. WWE doing little kind of hashtags for the main event. They got Team Orton or Team Cena. Let us know in the chat, guys. Who are you going for tonight in the main event? Do you think it'd be Randy Orton or do you think John Cena will retain? Let me have a look at some of these comments coming through as well. Oh, there we go. So the audio is all good. Gary, what was my reactions? Oh, right. Okay, let's bring Lucas back in. Is Lucas here? Right, let's bring Lucas back in. There's Lucas. When Amadeus is good, we'll bring him back in as well. But, Lucas, let's break down the card officially then. I want to get your real predictions now. We've kind of ummed and ahed. We've chatted a little bit about things. Gary is going for hashtag Orton for the main event. But what are your thoughts, Lucas? Let's bring it up. Well, let's go first of all with the men's Intercontinental Championship match between Dominik Mysterio and Penta. Now, I did my prediction for this earlier this week, and I went with Dominik Mysterio. My thinking for this was AJ come out and said, I'm coming after whoever wins this. And him going after Penta would be a great match. And AJ could turn heel. He feels like the modern day Big Show I mentioned earlier on. But it makes more sense for me to continue this story that I really like they started telling on Raw of Dom feeling the pressure of being the champion because he's this spoiled brat who's got what he finally wanted and now he can't hack it. And I like that story. We've not really seen that too often with characters before, and I think it works perfectly with the character of Dominik Mysterio. So for me, I went with Dominik, but I wouldn't be surprised if Penta won because I also expect a fairly short reign for Dominik, and I expect them to strap the rocket to Penta very quickly and give him a title anyway. So I'm kind of torn on this one, but ultimately I went with Dominik. What are you thinking, Lucas?
It's a really difficult one, but mainly because of that World's Collide event and because of a lot of stuff that's kind of rumoured around that. But I do think they're going to play it safe. And because I think they've got a lot, there's a lot for Dom as champion in terms of the AJ Styles thing. Yep. But then even leading to the Finn Balor thing. which, there's always that section of the audience, or not the audience, they don't go to the shows, the section of the IWC who just clamours for the Finn Balor, AJ Styles, Bullet Club versus Bullet Club kind of thing. So I think that there's a lot there for Dom. And I think sometimes in WWE, people forget that the reward isn't always championship or the big win. The reward sometimes is the match in existing in the first place. And I truly believe for Penta, he got on WrestleMania last month, obviously. But this is his first singles match on the PLE. I think that is the reward. They decided, look, he did such a good job from obviously his debut, very early into the Raw Netflix era of things, and has been kind of creating this moments every single week, and the smooth operator memes and everything are really, really good. And I think the reward is this match. They're going out, this is their way of saying, look, we appreciate you, we value you, thank you for coming over, and this is the reward. But I think the winner will be the person who's still the IC champion, that's Dominik Mysterio. Because I think that the main goal for Penta will most likely be to team up with his brother. If not at Worlds Collide, I'd imagine very shortly afterwards. And I do imagine when the Lucha Brothers do come together as a tag team, they will be unstoppable. I think that is a big push. They may even be the tag team that will dethrone the New Day, because I think
that's soon though.
We have got the fact. But we have got the fact that the Raw haven't got any tag teams. I mean, they're building up the Viking Raiders. They're always Viking Raiders to me. They're building up the Raiders to still, to get another a rematch. But people really invested in that. Like we've already seen that. We need something new. And you're going to put them back on Judgment Day again.
True. I just think it might be a bit quick. I think they need to keep them separate to build, especially Ray, because he's only just coming, and Penta is a level above essentially at the moment. So I think they're at risk there of kind of smushing them together too quickly.
You could argue that they might be using tonight as like the tester. They might see, look, this is going to be Penta's first PLE.
How close does he get? And
see how it goes. And see what reception is, and then maybe. And the thing is, it might be where they just do the Lucha Bros coming together once, and then they go this
tease
way,
it for the future,
then come back again.
It could do.
Yeah, I think they might be using it as a tester, but I do think this match will be a very good match, and I think that they will probably use this as a good seg and advertisement for Worlds Collide and obviously all the Lucha stuff.
100%. Yeah, we got Amadeus back. Can you hear us now?
Yes, it's all good. It's all good.
Good. I'm glad. Right. So take two. Again, we had him here for WrestleMania content. He's joined us back here, of course, from the Exploring the Smoke channel. How you doing, man? Are you excited for Backlash?
Weirdly, for something that isn't like a major event in WWE, what people, because it's not like it's not a WrestleMania.
Yes.
I'm really excited for it. I'm a little bit annoyed that it is only a five match card. Like 7, would that have been too much to ask? A good 7,
nice little 6.
That's what I'm saying. One more match. One more.
Yeah.
Especially let's be real. One of the matches being Pat McAfee versus Gunther isn't a Gunther, however.
Yeah.
That's not going to be a real match. We had a conversation about it briefly, like I said to you. Like, I don't see Pat winning that. It's a great match. The idea is great. The storyline is great.
Yeah, I like the story.
But I don't see him winning cleanly. And if he does win cleanly, it's a bit of an insult to the sport. Because he's a great wrestler. I know his background. I know he's been wrestling since he was in the NFL. He bought a wrestling ring. He's done all the da-da-da-da-da. But, like, he's a commentator. It would be like Jerry the King Lawler laying the smackdown on the Rock back in the day. It's weird. Do you know what I mean? It's just a bit weird.
I get you. Ironically, it reminds me of a feud that they did do with Taz before Taz went on to commentary. He picked on JR and King stuck up. I like that. I like that feud. I like this feud, but we can't be seeing. I mean, Taz was a machine, but they took the foot off the gas very quickly with Taz. It's not the same for Gunther, although they've got somewhat similar style, you could say. But I think Gunther is... I think we're safe. I think we are safe. I said to Michelle when she was on earlier on, the worst case scenario for me is Michael Cole helps Pat win. Or something crazy like that. Hope it's not the case.
I can see some of the boys like AJ Hawk or someone getting involved because you know how they love getting NFL players like George Kittle was involved.
Yeah, maybe.
I just don't want it to go. I love Pat McAfee. I watch him more than I watch wrestling. But you don't deserve to win, lad.
Yeah,
you just
it wouldn't
don't.
make sense. It wouldn't make sense. It'd be too... I mean, he could win in this feud eventually. I'm not against that, but like not.
I'm not against it. Not against. Yeah,
not
not the first time
out.
out. Yeah, you can't do
like,
it. You can't. Oh no!
Gonna get to some of these comments here though. Christopher says, I want Penta to win, but I got Dominik Mysterio winning. I think Penta should win the title eventually, but yeah, for me, I think Dominik a little bit longer would be good. Mr. Wrinkles says, Dominik retains with Judgment Day's help. Finn doesn't help. And if Liv is out there, then Roxy beats her up. Now, the thing is about this Finn thing is it is obvious, right? And in some ways, it's new. In some ways, it's not, because there's always this dissension and kind of hint in between. Just like we said with Grayson Waller and Austin Theory, they've done this with the Judgment Day for a long time. So it feels new, but not new. It's a bit of a weird one, but I don't think it needs to be pulled. You know, the trigger doesn't need to be pulled straight away. Casper agrees. Raw really is lacking in the tag team division. Christopher says Triple H loves a 5-match card. It certainly seems to be the case. Mr. Wrinkle says, going back to the Pat McAfee thing, Gunther destroys Pat. Goldberg comes out to help him when the match is over. There's possible Goldberg.
Goldberg, you know. And we mentioned him earlier, obviously Goldberg's debut in WWE was.
Oh, you did, yeah. And there was another comment earlier that mentioned Goldberg as well. I think it is possible because that's the feud that they clearly hinted a few months ago. And also, I think one of like the upcoming shows is going to be in Georgia. I'm sure in that kind of weird period where we've got like a million shows. I think one of them might
say about obviously Goldberg to say he wants to have his final match this year, didn't they?
Yeah, so it would make sense. Gunther Goldberg final match would be box office, I've got to say. Gunther versus Pat McAfee should be a fun match, says Casper. Also says Paul versus Jey Uso. Yeah, not happening tonight, but they're certainly going on in that direction. Christopher says Finn Balor, Julia, and Roxanne Perez. Is that a little stable you're building there? Mr. Wrinkle says it would be cool if Gunther beat up Pat and all his boys. 100% agree. Yeah, don't just beat up Pat. Batter all of them, and then they all go.
Whoa! I will not hear no slander. I will hear no slander against the Pat McAfee.
No, it's nothing against them, but they will sell it. They will sell it. It'll be funny. It'll be a big story that he took out this whole crew, right? Because they're not trained wrestlers, and Gunther's a beast, right? And then on the show, they're all sitting there with braces and stuff.
That would be brilliant. That would be brilliant.
I love it.
Brilliant.
Casper's not a fan of 5-match card thing. I think it's running. I think the problem is it's always 5, and it shouldn't always be 5. Sometimes there is room for a 6th, and that's the issue. Mark's in the house again. Good to see you, buddy. Says I think Cena wins tonight via disqualification. Possible. We keep seeing Cena be laid out. He's got to look strong at some point. I mean, I think he's winning the title. I mean, keeping the title. Excuse me, I should say. But we'll get to that match in a little bit. Mr. Wrinkles also says love Pat, and Mark says for me, Gunther versus Pat shouldn't even last 5 minutes. Potentially it's going to be the way they go. But yeah, Goldberg maybe to come and save him, says Mr. Wrinkles as well. Keep your comments coming, guys. We love them. Again, we want you to have your say, and we'll get to the best comments as we make our way through. They're making for some great discussions as well. At the moment, by the way, guys, if you tuned into the Countdown show, you'll notice already, but not much is going on. Basically, they've got the panel up there. So we appreciate you watching us. If you're acting as this is your watching on companion piece for that, we appreciate you even more so as well. So thank you so much for tuning in. If you haven't already subscribed, we are the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel, and we're here to break down the card and get you hyped up for tonight's PLE. We've touched on Dom and Penta a little bit there, but let's move into the next IC title match. We've got another one to talk about here. Of course, the Women's Intercontinental Championship is being defended by Lyra Valkyria against Becky Lynch. Now, we've already had a bit of discussion about this throughout the show, but I do want to get the thoughts of Amadeus and Lucas on this one a little bit further as well, because I think the best way to go about this, and I think this is what they're gonna do, is have Lyra keep the belt tonight so that Lyra looks good against Becky, and then in the future Becky wins it, because that just feels somewhat inevitable, right? And therefore it makes the IC title look strong as well. So it's a win-win situation for me. I know some people won't be happy with that. They say, does she really need to win another belt? But it's not the world title, and I think it gives credit to that IC title, and they've never had that opportunity. It's kind of like when the women from back in the day, the Divas era, finally get to come back and be in a Royal Rumble, because in their day they didn't have that opportunity. So it's not to the same degree, but I also think, Becky spent most of her career not having an Intercontinental Championship, and if she did have it in, the WWE kind of ecosystem at the time, she would have won that by this point. So I think putting that on her and having it be an accolade when she retires, that she can kind of, put it, add to that list essentially, I think is a good idea. Doing it tonight, in my opinion, would be bad, because I think it's too soon. Go with you first of all, Lucas. What do you think is going to happen tonight, and what are your general thoughts on this kind of, where it's going to go eventually, really?
Well, I'm hoping that Becky will put Lyra over. I'm just expecting that Becky will win the belt.
Tonight?
Yeah, tonight.
Wow.
Yeah. I think obviously they just ended Chelsea Green's reign as US champion as well, didn't they?
True.
And it fits into that thing of like wanting to have like a title change on this kind of show. Amadeus, just to catch you up, like, so WWE, they moved to this 5-match format kind of a couple of years ago for some of the smaller events. I think Triple H said originally it was just going to be some of the smaller events, like I think they had like stuff like Payback and had a few smaller cards, then it has just turned into pretty much anything that's not a WrestleMania, SummerSlam, or the Saudi Arabia shows. I guess will be new to you as well when you get to watch those. Tends to be 5 matches. Yeah, like the Rumble had 4 matches. Survivor Series seems to be 4 matches too. And yeah, it's now actually coming out quite. There's like a big vocal section, I think, of the fan base who aren't a big fan of these, but they also stripped away apart from Saudi. There's no pre-show match on any of these cards as well. So obviously they're a fan of this non-stop talking, it seems. But somewhat it helps us because we get to do these shows because, if there was a pre-show match, we'd be happily thinking about obviously wrapping up now. So there'd be a pre-show match kind of starting. But yeah, it has moved to that. So it does mean you see, you see less wrestlers, on the shows.
Yeah.
Which... we touched on a little bit tonight, and we have touched on. We're going to mention every single event because it's one of those things. Because there's always matches that we feel get left off, and it's just weird going from, I guess, when you left watching wrestling, was it like 2014, 2015, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And you was very much in that era of you got 7-8 matches, isn't it? Your tag team titles. You saw, there was 2 world belts. You saw both belts being defended.
Yeah.
And you still saw like your John Cena's, Randy Orton's, Kane's.
Yeah.
All those kind of people. But now, yeah, it's a very, very, very different business.
I am just very quickly looking at the matches that they've got, and I think that's what it is. I think there's no tag team match, and no, because there's the 4-way with Jacob and LA and Damien and Drew, but there's no just flat out old school tag team kick-ass match because again the tag team sort of matches have been good recently.
Yeah.
Very good.
So why not continue it? Why not give us the extra one, fit in a really good tag match? It doesn't have to be great storyline tag stuff, but give something for people to be like, oh my God, that was a barnstormer. They went out there and they give it everything. I think nowadays sometimes people, wrestling already to me, I feel like I've seen from coming back now, if it isn't a big storytelling part, it isn't part of the story anymore. And I'm like, that's what's sad, because I miss the old school, just a good old people getting in a fight. You know what I mean? I want maybe that's what's missing, a good tag team match.
Well, that's what I was saying earlier as well, Madesh. I was saying the fact that you only get serious, heavy hitting. This is like, and I guess this is what we're going to argue. But it just feels a bit like just throw on something fun every now and again, like throw in like a 5-minute match.
I think because I've been watching some of the older ones, whether it's WrestleManias or Royal Rumbles or the old Backlashes, there are some silly matches, there are some gimmicky matches, there are some whatever, but like sometimes the fans do enjoy that. I'm not saying everyone's gonna love it. Don't bring back stupid matches, but on this 5-card evening, would it have killed you to put in just a really good, or if you want to spice it up, make it a ladder match, make it a table match, make it something fun. But I feel like that's what's missing. I think now I've said it out loud, I think that's what I'm missing.
I agree. But in terms of the match, obviously, duty, obviously, Lyra Valkyria and Becky Lynch. Just so you know, Becky Lynch and Lyra Valkyria had a feud on NXT as well. A year ago, and Becky went down there. It actually ended with Lyra Valkyria beating Becky Lynch for the NXT Championship. And so now this is kind of a rehash, a revival.
Yeah. See, I'm weirdly, I know of it because I've been trying to weirdly stay with it as it's coming up and whatnot. I agree, Scott. I'm gonna go with you here, there, mate. Like, I agree. Charlotte should definitely have the belt at some point.
Becky, you mean?
Becky.
Becky. I'm just thinking of every other. Becky should definitely have the belt, but let's be honest. She's already established. She is the man. She is only recently. I feel like if she comes back and gets the belt so quick, it's just one of those things where it's just like it squashes the up and coming.
It ruins what they've built essentially. You could get the best by building up Lyra and the belt.
And Lyra, she's a bloody good wrestler.
Yes.
Considering, like I said, I gave up realistically in 2015 when the female matches were only they would never last more than 5 minutes.
Yeah, that was when they were slowly getting bigger, but it was more from NXT.
And this is what I mean. So much, and so what I have come back to, oh my God, the caliber of female wrestling is so good.
Yeah, it must be a bit of a shock to the system to kind of come back and watch the women be presented in this way. I think we've kind of not taken it for granted, but we've got used to it, you know. So yeah, I mean the fact that some of this stuff's new. They've only just got these mid-card titles, but this women's kind of revolution basically took place around the time that you dipped, essentially.
Please go back and watch anything. Go back and watch like 2013 female wrestling and just go, oh my God, we've got it so good now.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, it really is. But yeah, I think that's the best case scenario. Really is doing, as I say, giving it Becky in the future. But I'm with you, Lucas. I think there's a high chance it could happen tonight. And I think the wrong decision.
The thing is, as well, it just seems like there's only a certain number of women who could get away with, getting a spot. Because again, we went through a phase, Amadeus. What's a phase? It was about a decade. But
long phase.
Past 20, 30 years of this, where the only time women were featured on a pay-per-view for the last 10 years at least was when they had a match for one of the Raw, SmackDown, Women's World, WWE, one of them, the main belt basically. And there was very few matches where they didn't have. Obviously, back when you were probably watching it, back when we were both watching it back in the day, there was a certain stipulation that existed. Oh, we lost him.
No, I am here. I don't know if you can hear me. I am still.
We can hear you. You're looking very green.
I don't know what's happened. I genuinely don't know what's happened. I was watching the WWE. I looked back and I got a green screen. I'm like, what's going on tonight?
All right, we'll hop you out and we'll see.
Yeah, I'll be right back if I can get it worked.
So this is new to us.
Right, the green man is gone in the background, but
this is new to us. Oh yeah, the show. Oh, Puerto Rico was Damien Priest and Bad Bunny, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, that was 2 years ago now, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's bonkers, isn't it? That was a hot crowd that night, and obviously that did make them go international for the next year as well. But they are back on home turf this year. But obviously are bringing several events internationally, including obviously Crown Jewel going to Perth later in the year. Obviously an event that has been exclusive to Saudi, hasn't it? Actually, I think for the last at least 5-6 years, I think.
Yeah, it's going to Australia.
Saudi Arabia getting the Rumble next year. We've got Clash in Paris to look forward to. You know, who knows what else they may or may not announce internationally. But it's good for us because obviously it means we get to do content at more reasonable times. Particularly, I love the Saudi times. I love them.
I know,
I did find it very unique for the Australian show, being able to the only pay-per-view where I've ordered breakfast to watch a pay-per-view. You know, I've sat there, you know, having breakfast while watching a show.
It's funny, isn't it? Because we always do these on these build-up shows. We like to, and by the way, guys, we can see your comments coming in. Going to get to those very soon. But you know what we like to do. Tell us your snacks for tonight, guys. But as Lucas says, when we got those ones, the snacks are basically like, if you're lucky, a full English or, you know, some Cocoa Pops or something like that. It's a very different atmosphere. But hey, get your comments in, guys. Let us know what you are going to be snacking on tonight on the show as well. I can see in the background we've got Amadeus working again. It's no longer the green. It is
the Hulk.
A full coloured. Here we go, Amadeus. Look at all the beautiful colours you've got there. Not just green anymore.
I'm going to mute my mic quickly. I think it might actually be.
When he said me, oh, well, all right then, all right.
I think it might actually be my green screen messing up.
Oh, really? Okay. Too green. So, your background's still good there. That's fine. That's a good one.
This is look at that. Or vinyl or something. I don't know.
Beautiful, beautiful. All right, let's get to some of these comments, guys, because they are racking up.
Yeah,
so I'll try and run through them, and then once we go through them, we'll pick out some of these topics to dive deeper into as well. But I do want to bring some of these up because we're getting some good ones again. We saw what Mark said earlier on about shouldn't last more than 5 minutes, and Mr. Wrinkles thinking that Goldberg could come out and make the save. Randy Orton wins by DQ, but Cena retains, says Christopher. Mark also says, here's why Gunther is full-time. Here's why. Gunther is full-time and meant to be a monster heel. Pat is a commentator. It would be embarrassing if Pat lasted longer than 5 minutes. Yeah, I think great point. My big fear is he wins. But yeah, you could make the argument that he not only should lose, but lose in quick time. So as much as I enjoy Pat, you know, in ring, I think, it's...
If he wins, it's dirty.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, exactly that. It can't be clean. Casper thinks Becky Lynch will win. You need Gunther to look strong, especially after tapping to Jay so quickly. That's a great point, Mark, as well. Mr. Wrinkle says this show has to have a huge moment. We'll touch on that in a bit, guys. We'll talk about what we think the huge moment for tonight could be. Becky Lynch wins if Bayley doesn't return, says Christopher. Mark also says, I think Lyra should be chasing the title. Maybe Becky elevates the title and then she drops it right back. I think that's the way to go, but in like a month's time, essentially. For me, if you're going to do a 2-hour pre-show and put a match on it and just not change the length time, exactly that. Yeah, you definitely could be doing something more with these countdown shows, but they're not. But hey, at least we've got the build up to keep you occupied instead, right? I don't think it's too for Lyra to lose a belt, and I love them both. But one of the matches I'm really looking forward to is that women's IC match. 1 hour pre-show, and the match could be all is necessary, says Mr. Wrinkles, when it comes to these countdown shows. Mark also says, for me, the tag team divisions are dead. SmackDown is very much alive, but Raw certainly feels dead. Not enough tag teams, period. I mean, the women's one is even worse. Yeah, we talked about loads of tag teams earlier on, but they are stacked on one side. That maybe should be a bit more evenly split. Mark says, for me, put the tag titles together. There isn't that many tag teams left. I guess you do have the 2 belts. If there is, WWE will probably just release them in a year anyway. Mark Davis is in the house, says, fun theory. Seeing his plan to run away with the title plays out of him losing the title, allowing him to become Mr. Money in the Bank to form a Seth Rollins heist of the century at SummerSlam. Nice bit of fantasy book in there. Casper also says, yeah, good tag team matches are needed and are lacking. Mark is only doing a rehash of the CM Punk and story with a pipe bomb promo there, says Mr. Wrinkles. Becky Hogan comments coming once again here, though, from Christopher as well. Yeah, Punk said he was going to leave WWE with the title. I agree. Yeah, it is the same storyline in some sense, which, we've had a few people say before as well. Yeah, what if Punk, I remember Andy was saying this at WrestleMania on those build-up shows, what if Punk is he's here to save it now. He's trying to bring it back. Ironically, when it was Cena trying to save it last time. So that is a possible route they could take as well.
I think, though, with this, you've got the uniqueness of Cena obviously retiring at the end. Whereas I don't think people would have thought Punk actually
was actually going to go. Yeah, not retiring, but it was... Yeah, I get what you mean. It is different in that sense. Well, compare. Oh, some naughty words there. Let's stay away from that. Gary's still in the background, just lurking. No worries, mate. Good to have you with us. If you are lurking in the background, just let us know what you think is going to happen tonight. We'll read your comment out if we can get to it. Mark also says, I do want something big to happen at the end of the show. I see Cena winning and possibly slapping a referee and taking the DQ as a throwback. It'd be a shame if they ended on something like that. I know it adds to his heel kind of run. It's kind of what that character would do, but I think there needs to be a big moment in that match. Do we possibly get a third person in the Cena Rock faction? One can hope, right?
The Rock doesn't show up.
Yeah, we said earlier, if showing up for WrestleMania, he ain't showing up here. But then again, he showed up for the Chambers, so who knows? Mark is eating. Why am I even reading this out? Pringles and Arsenal tears on the menu tonight. Did you have to go there with Arsenal?
He did.
Did you have to go there?
He
All right,
did.
whatever.
He did.
Leave it at that. That's for the Rebellious Noise Football channel. Temple says, hear me out. Cena enters Money in the Bank. He wins to prevent anyone else cashing in on him. I like that one as well. Holding it when you're the champ is an interesting, they've not done that before. 3 packets of hula hoops and a can of Coke. Been eating all day already. Casper, yeah, that's a small one. I know your meals are massive for wrestling. Yeah, but I get that. You've had a big old dinner. Look, I'm the reverse as well. I'm not sure how much I'm going to stay up and watch tonight's show. I might catch up tomorrow. So I'm not having my wrestling special tonight of pizza, chicken, and chips. I did that earlier today. So Christopher says, I think Bayley should win the Women's Intercontinental Championship against Lyra Valkyria. # not Travis Scott. I think that's a hashtag I can certainly get into there as well. Oh, great comment here from Earl. Says, is Jeff Cobb going to be at Backlash tonight? A lot of rumors about Jeff Cobb signing, potentially showing up soon. So, could we see that happen tonight? Half hour to go is what Gary's saying as well. Mark says possibly tonight as the third man, Jeff Cobb could be coming into the WWE. That'd be a big position to put him into. And Christopher is having leftovers. What are the leftovers, Christopher? Let us know. Now, lots of great comments there, guys. We are but 29 minutes away, though, from the show kicking off. So what we'll do, we'll start kind of rushing through the rest of the card here. We want to take you as close to the show as possible, but we know you got to get off and watch the show as well. By the way, Amadeus, are you doing any sort of stream tonight for Backlash?
I'm not going to lie. I was going to stream, but I'm a bit like you. I don't know how much I'd actually watch because I'm getting old now. And secondly, I did a Cody Rhodes earlier, and if you can see here in my shirt, I've torn my pec.
Woof!
So
hey,
how do you manage that?
I'm in a little bit of pain. I literally, in the gym earlier, I was doing very light weights, and I felt... Yeah, you can see it. Dear God.
What we need though is that dramatic thing that Cody did when he showed.
No, see, mine isn't bruised like that. So far, all I've got so far is a bruise here on my arm, where the muscle was torn. But if it gets worse, don't worry, you'll see. But yeah, so I'm in a little bit of pain. I'm like, I was going to come in being like, it's me, it's the bruised titty, but my tits weren't bruised. So I couldn't do it.
Fair enough.
But
I appreciate the thought of content for it, though.
Going
to throw over to some more comments here as well. El Grande Briticano is still with us, says, I'll win the Money in the Bank and save you all. Thank you, mate. Appreciate that. Christopher says, Jeff Cobb is actually backstage at Backlash. Okay, rumours going around about Jeff Cobb being there tonight as well. We'll have to see. Also, so I think the only title changing is the women's IC title. My predictions have gone for no title changes, but I think the two I'd be more likely with are the 2 IC title matches, essentially. But there are 4 title matches tonight. You didn't wear the sandals, did you? What sandals? What are we talking about sandals? I'm missing a point. I don't get what you mean there, Mark.
I'm wearing sandals now.
What else have we got here? I'm still thinking with my prediction for Cena and Randy getting screwed by Cody turning heel. Roman Reigns, I just don't see it. Not yet with Cody Rhodes.
I can't see Cody turning.
I was going to say, I see Cody coming back tonight for the John. Or I can see him coming back and getting involved somewhere. And if he does... Yeah, if he doesn't, I'll be a little bit disappointed.
Let's get to that because Cody's not been seen, as far as I can tell, since WrestleMania. Because I was trying to recall, have we seen the typical? I'm not the champ anymore. So he hasn't been around, right? So he's coming back soon, obviously. And as I think Michelle said it earlier on when she was on, like, you deserve a break. Like he's pretty much carried the company for quite a while now. So fair play to him. Hope he's rested up well. But I'm sure he's itching to get back. Will tonight be the night? If it's not, it's got to be pretty soon, right? So let's throw it over to you, Lucas, first of all. Thoughts on the John Cena Randy Orton match and whether or not Cody Rhodes plays into this?
So we got Randy Orton and John Cena. Obviously, I'm gonna just say I think they may do like a teaser of this. There's that people keep mentioning about the slap and the DQ thing. I think they may do a tease or something along that, but I don't genuinely think they're gonna end, and I hope they don't end a main event title match in 2025 via disqualification. I don't see it happening,
especially on a potentially lackluster card anyway.
Yeah,
I think
how people are going to see John perceive Cena win,
and
I kind of do think it may get another match out of it because of the proximity of other events. I don't know who they're going to build up to next, because if Cody does come back, like, while you could argue, they may be setting that up as the next thing, it would feel a bit too soon for that. Surely this title reign should get John Cena to have more challenges, than just Randy Orton and then Cody Rhodes again. But I think the rumor was obviously regarding, potential ticket sales or whatever, or sponsorships being interested. So potentially Cody just does what The Rock did at Bad Blood last year and just comes out and just smiles, and then, he's on the show that way, and then he's on the press conference, talking the usual rubbish they always say in those things. But I do feel there needs to be something big, but I guess maybe they might see it as you're getting John Cena versus Randy Orton for the first time in like a decade, like that's
and the last time ever as well.
Until next month. I think John Cena will win. I have more to say on this match, but not. I think it has to be after I've seen the match in a weird way. A lot of it is
that's cheating, mate. That's not how predictions work.
I don't know what we're going to be getting because of obviously that WrestleMania match being as it was.
Yeah.
What are we getting? Are we going to get a proper match out of it? Is it actually going to be? Do you know what I mean? Or again, this bloody DQ thing, which is going around. Is that an actual reality of something, or is that something we're going to see? Is it going to be? Because again, it's all very odd because John Cena's promos don't match kind of what happened. Like, why would he do the promo saying he's leaving and then he takes one RPO and all of a sudden the match is signed and he's happy to do the match? Like, surely he should be kicking and screaming and not wanting to do this match. And then at the last minute he then agrees to the match, not just like one RPO and that was enough to just change it. Like, but yeah, that's my thoughts on it. What do you think, Amadeus?
This match, I'm excited for because, again, it's the Viper versus the Superman. John's going to win. Yeah. Because, let's be honest, Randolph, you're incredible, but you ain't getting that belt this early into John's heel run. You're just not. It's just not happening. I do think there's going to be some form of interference. It could be Cody. It could be... I'm going to be the crazy one again because I'm only going off of say his name and he appears. Purely because, can we just talk about, and I don't know if it's maybe just me, did anyone else think that when he came out to fight as the big shock, Mr. Joe Hendry, he was literally wearing ruthless aggression, Cena, shorts, wrist guards. He looked like John Cena when he had his first. And I'm like, oh my God, go back and look at it now. And now that I've said that, please let Joe Hendry be the new Super Cena that they're going to bring in. This would be incredible.
The thing is, it's crazy because he's very much one of these kind of, he's put it out there a lot that he does exactly this. He puts it out there, he tries to manifest these things, and some incredible things have happened.
And now look at what's happened.
And he said one of those things is, I want to face Cena in his final year. Now, that seemed more likely if Cena did as a babyface, a guest appearance in like NXT or something like that. Or TNA, could you imagine? But I think it'd be a crazy jump up at this stage in time for them to do that. I know that they're high on Joe Hendry, but then again, giving him the spot again at WrestleMania was a big call as well. So
no, don't let him win. Don't let him win, but just have him come back again. So it's like there's more sprinkling of the Joe man is coming.
It'd be crazy if TNA World Champ versus WWE Champ. Oh. Like, what a timeline we're living.
Imagine John left with both. Imagine John left with both belts.
Yeah, I like that. John Cena winning the TNA title is great.
I'll be I'll be down for that, but I think it, in my opinion, would be more like a TV match.
Yeah.
You know, and again, a bit more the direction they'd do if Cena was babyface, doing like the Open Challenger or something like that, and then. But it just feels like they're going a different direction, definitely for now, anyway. With obviously him wanting to leave, him wanting to leave with that belt. I do think until he either doesn't want to leave with that belt or he doesn't have the belt, I think sadly we're going to be restricted to obviously having him do promos on television and then having matches on the pay-per-views. Except from Saudi, of course. Where he'd disappear for a month.
Let's get to some more of these comments here. Mark has clarified what he meant. Cody was wearing sandals when he tore his pec. Okay, so he's asking if Amadeus was wearing sandals.
I am wearing sandals now, but no, not.
There you go, but not at the senior.
That would be ridiculous.
Mr. Wriggle said Rock is getting sued. So much heat for not showing up at WrestleMania. Does he show up tonight? Look, stranger things have happened. It was weirder. It was weirder that he didn't show up at WrestleMania, but. It could happen. I don't think it will. Let's hope there's no Travis Scott coming out tonight. That's the one we will, I think, go with instead. Randy said he has 5 to 10 years left. I don't know, but
I don't think he's got 10. I could give him 5.
Not full 5. 5. Yeah,
he's in great nick.
Comment here says that the guy that dressed up as Randy Orton was Ty Dillinger. Actually, I've heard this as well. Sean Spears. I think that was a cool little spot they did on SmackDown. I really enjoyed that. Mr. Wrinkle says, "What happens if Randy and Cena trade the title a couple of times before he retires and loses to Punk?" So I was talking earlier on about Randy chasing. He's on 14. So could we see something like that? I kind of hope not, because I think I like this at the moment for what it is, a nostalgia piece. I don't want it to be, again, 3 to 6 months. Mark says, I'm going crazy. What if Cody comes back as a heel? We've had a few people say that tonight. I don't think it's going to happen. I think it will eventually. But when you're not using John Cena to sell your merch, you need it to be Cody Rhodes and the Yeet Man. And the Yeet Man's doing it, so I think Cody needs to be doing it as well. Legend Killer Randy Orton. We did talk about this earlier on, didn't we, Gary? Some of us were saying, what if... he's trying to kill the legend. Randy Orton kills the legend of John Cena. This was kind of the idea that Michelle had earlier on, that's what they do. They go out with that big blow off, and essentially Randy Orton puts John Cena down. It would be a big, big statement. Jigsaw, not a fan of Joe Hendry, says he's boring. He needs to compete in a game of mine to be a star. Oh my gosh, Jigsaw. My goodness. I mentioned this earlier on before this came on, but we did cover that on the Talking Beans podcast, so go check that out instead. Cena's retirement match, as things stand, is Cena. Oh, come on, don't be mean. Did you not see how much that hurt John Cena, guys? Have we not learned?
Whoa. He's got plugs. He listens to me. I said on the WrestleMania one, I was like, listen, sort your hair out, John. I'll throw one Pat McAfee.
But I like that he's even turned that into storyline and said, how dare you say that about me? I've done it because, So Mr. Wrinkle says The Rock has had 2 family members signed since last year. Maybe they were introduced tonight. A lot of rumors about the bloodline continuing to grow and a representation of that family as well. Would be funny because then Rick will find another 5 world titles to have for his record. To be fair, Rick has more than 16. It's just WWE don't recognize it that way. I think it's 21 or something around that at least. Casper enjoyed the John Cena promo last night. I got to say, I've enjoyed more of John Cena's heel work lately. Since he's had the belt, I think he's been better, even though I didn't want him to have the belt, and even though I still think it could be better, and I still think there's a lot of things that missed.
Direction. There's a better direction for what they want to do, how he's been presented. I think before he won the belt, it was a bit iffy, and obviously we very much were. I know we had some comments tonight, and again, so I hope The Rock, he's not going to appear tonight, if you're wrong. But before WrestleMania, we were still very much like, The Rock's going to come back. The Rock's going to explain things. We're going to have The Rock. Everything about The Rock still, as much as Cena. Whereas now I think that we've realised that The Rock isn't going to exist in this universe. I think people have gone, okay, we can kind of appreciate a bit more. And the presentation's been better as well. Like, I think, before WrestleMania, he was still kind of coming out to the exact same thing and everything. And then since WrestleMania, he's done the whole, blacked out. Graphics, having the number of dates remaining. But I do think that, and I just hope that maybe, we do get some more exciting matches, later down the line. Because I think if he's only going to do the big shows, we're only going to get, 5 matches? Until December.
Yeah, I think he will, and I think they will start using some of the younger talents as well, and I think that's why it is key, as we had in the comments earlier on from Tom Talks Rubbish. I think having him face Orton for a few months is kind of a waste. I think one and done. It's St. Louis, like, it makes sense. It's a ready-made storyline. I liked it on the Raw after SmackDown that they kind of teased it straight away. So I'm actually a fan of it, but let's just hope it doesn't go on much longer, because I think there are better things, better stories for Cena to tell essentially. Mr. Wrinkle says the show rating will be a 9 as long as Travis Scott doesn't show up. I saw where was that comment here from Jigsaw again? Amadeus, look, we found the culprit. It says, while you're at the gym, I did mess up the weights. Game over.
Knew it.
Now we know. Now we know.
It.
Always up to no good, Jigsaw. Always up to no good. Mark says, for me, you don't even need The Rock for Cena's heel turn. He could have done all this without him because he's doing it anyway. Yeah, true. I mean, the fact that I haven't really referred to it is a real shame. Jigsaw's really trying to get us to pick things here. Look, live or die, TNA or NXT. I prefer NXT as a show, but I love the legacy of TNA, and I think they're doing good stuff. And
it's kind of hard because I think without TNA, there wouldn't be an NXT anyway. It's one of those things.
Yeah.
Because TNA existing as a smaller thing for the majority of its career made WWE, and alongside other promotions similar, but definitely TNA, being one of at the forefront of a lot of this stuff. I think it showed WWE that, they could get away with doing something like this. And it helped improve. It helped a lot of people up their game, and TNA is very kind of underrated for that, I think, and it still kind of is. But I think at the moment NXT is definitely more important to the business. As much as
and it's basically helped.
It was so good, Tony. I agree.
100%. I think TNA has been saved in the recent era. I mean, it's still yet to see where it goes with WWE. It still could go horribly wrong, but this one, the rebrand, and what they were doing just before the rebrand, it's been a great few years for TNA, when a few years back I could not give two about TNA because it was so dead and irrelevant. But talking about this, early TNA, love it. Big fan of that. I want to do a bit of content about that in the future, man, about early TNA. I think there's
a lot of storylines and some good memories there, man.
Good stuff. Mr. Wrinkles agrees with you, Lucas, and NXT is way better than TNA at the moment. And Jigsaw says, is he covering up black eyes with those shades?
Only from insomnia, my man, nothing else.
All right. Okay, well, we are getting very close, guys. We're 13 minutes away from Backlash starting. The countdown show itself is basically showing highlights of the previous years. We're seeing Leon last year, of course. Great crowd. I'm sure St. Louis is going to be wanting to bring it tonight as well. The European fans definitely have a different flavor, but I think seeing as we're going to get John Cena versus Randy Orton potentially for the last time ever, I think that's something for people to really get their sink their teeth into. It's a big moment. The theme songs will be sung, it's going to be a big fight feel. Let's hope it doesn't go the way of some of their old matches where it kind of just felt a bit dull. But as Lucas said earlier on, they had some real barnstormers back in the day as well. So we do have potential for a good match and also good storyline progression. I personally think that Cena will win tonight. I think he'll keep the title, as much as I didn't want him to win the title as a heel. I do think now that we've done it, we've pulled the trigger and we're in this. So it's got to go somewhere. I think he'll probably lose it in a few months' time. And maybe Cody will come back tonight. And I think he'll probably come back at the end of the match. Maybe Cena will do something dastardly to win and then kind of get a chair or something like that. And Cody come back to give him a face-to-face. And we do get that rematch.
I mean, talking of Randy Orton, Legend Killer, one of the Backlash moments that he had, which still, to be fair, it was probably one of Randy Orton's best ever matches, was the match he had against Mick Foley at Backlash 2004.
Yeah,
it was the match really that got a lot of people to respect Randy Orton. And WWE, obviously, it pushed the envelope. It pushed it as far as it could get in the kind of late 90s, early 2000s, some of the hardcore stuff. And Mick Foley was at the forefront of a lot of that, let's be real. But I think it still stands as one of those kind of really violent matches, from a time when the company was trying to shift away from that a bit.
Yeah.
A very violent match, and one which, again, showed that Backlash was a pay-per-view to give those big moments, have it, time. But yeah, I think everyone's going to think something big's going to got to happen, but I don't know.
When you look at last year's Backlash, that wasn't the case, was it? So, yeah.
And this is the thing. In a couple of days, there's someone on a podcast and say, that's another thing now, which is again different from, I guess, you and Amadeus. Before it was a case of pay-per-view happened. If it was good, bad, or different, fair enough. It moved on afterwards, but now it's very much like, a day or two after pay-per-view, a wrestler's going to come out on a podcast and say something, or like the Rock just saying, "Oh yeah, I only came back because the Chamber was struggling for ticket sales."
Yeah, that was. I didn't like that.
Listen, kayfabe or not, listen, you don't say, for the company that built you, how dare you say something so disgusting against them?
Yeah, I don't think it was a good look. I think it really.
Yeah, my theory is, I kind of think the Rock and Triple H have had some sort of falling out. I think it's evident from the fact that there's too much that's happened in this past year or so. Where you're like, and I think the Rock's annoyed that he couldn't shoehorn his way into the main event, and it's kind of he tried to shoehorn himself into a match with Cody that he then couldn't do, and most likely he didn't want to do because it meant that he would have had to either win the belt and then obviously couldn't defend it because he obviously has actual other stuff to do. I think as well, part of it is the realization with The Rock that he probably couldn't do a main event match. But I mean, deadly honest, he got away with the tag being a tag. Obviously, there's other people involved, but do you want us to be seeing 52? I think it's 23 actually. Year-old Rock, in a main event match, 30 minutes of wrestling,
Wait, hold on. We've seen stranger things happen, Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair,
No, I'm saying, do you want to see?
No,
no, God no, dear
15-minute
God,
match
no.
could be done if they prepared it in the right way and he prepared in the right way. But it's a big commitment. We can't pretend he doesn't have as much as is part of his character now. He does have a very, very busy lifestyle. It's hard. It would be hard to commit to that. So it has to be done right. Get to a few more of these comments before we do wrap up, guys, because Backlash is just 9 minutes away. I'm going to quickly cycle through some of these here. Jigsaw says, I think one world title US, one tag title, and one women's is enough for WWE, but that's just me, I suppose. Great show, guys. Thanks for having me. Yeah, thank you for tuning in, buddy. Really appreciate the comments.
And horror-themed people tonight.
I know. What's this about?
I'm here for it.
Spooky time, is it? Remember, folks, if Drew does win a US title, he would officially be a Grand Slam champion. Not bad for a member of 3MB. That's a great point, Mark. Thank you, as always, for your contributions there as well. Jigsaw says, I'm just an old school guy. Feuds with divisions to go with my comment about WWE. Gary says, those 3 hours flew by. Yeah, they did, mate. We've had some great conversations tonight, thanks to our guests and members of the team, and of course you guys in the chat as well. As always,
you've been great,
keeping us company. We do appreciate you. Jigsaw also says, I love this one. I should put Travis Scott in my famous bathroom, tied up with Fiend playing, and close the door forever. Game over. Gary says that sounds wrong, and Mr. Wrinkle says just flush him down the toilet. Mark says 93 times. Johnson, 93 times it's happened. 23 times the title's been on the line. They've been also tied.
Well, I'm guessing a lot of those have been at house shows.
House shows, yeah. Yeah, because you'd imagine there'd be more title matches if not.
Still 93. Oof.
Gary, if you see my films, you won't understand, says Jigsaw as well. I want Travis. I love that we're just playing up to it now. Like we've got the Jigsaw in the chat. I love it. I want Travis Scott to win I want him on 2K25. Fiend. Gary says, Mr. Wrinkles and Jigsaw as the next tag team champions. Yeah, love to see it. Is this the Gary from Only Fools and Horses in the chat? It's not. I know this Gary. It's not that Gary, but hell yes, is Mr. Wrinkles as well. And Mark says Gunther has also never lost 2 matches in a row in WWE or NXT. Loving these facts, by the way, guys. Thank you so much as always, Mark. We appreciate that.
He's got to be
knowledge.
But yeah, he's got to beat Pat. If he don't, something crazy's got to happen to justify it, in my opinion. But hey, guys, we are pretty much at the end of the show now. Lauren's with us as well. Says, let's go, Randy. Cena sucks. Look, I'm a big fan of Randy, but I don't think he's going to be winning it tonight, Lauren. Sludge, sorry, you are late, Sludge. We're about to tune out, mate. Thank you for joining us anyway. Hope you're doing well. Look, again, we appreciate everyone that's been with us, whether it's been for a few minutes or whether you've been lurking in the background or whether you've been dropping us with the comments and these stats as we've seen some of these guys here as well. Oh, Jackie Redmond gave the stats. Nice one, Mark. I appreciate that you didn't want to take full credit there and you were an honest man. Good one. Casper says, enjoy the show. Great show from us here at the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. Thank you, Casper. Again, recognize a lot of you guys from our previous streams, but there are a few new names here as well. So we would love it if you stuck with us and subscribe. We've got more content on this channel. We've got interviews with WWE superstars. We've got kind of topics of, podcast topics again that kind of span beyond this show, of course. So check that out as well. The show starts in a few minutes, Sludge. We're 6 minutes away from Backlash. Enjoy the show, everyone. It's been great kind of having your comments, but again, as always, it's been great chatting to Amadeus and Lucas. Few seconds to wrap up, guys. We're going to go with you first, Amadeus. What are your kind of final thoughts before you do get out of here?
Oh, thank you for having me. Thank you to everyone in the chat that's been keeping it going. I'm excited. Listen, like I said, I would have liked a match or two more, but the matches that we've got, I expect are all going to be high caliber. I'm looking forward to it, and we'll see. Hopefully, it just runs smoothly and there's nothing too stupid where we all go, "Oh, this is what they're doing."
Yeah, good point. That's all you want, right? Anyway, Amadeus, thank you so much for joining us. Tell the people where they can find you, and
you can find me at Exploring the Smoke on YouTube. Exploring the Smoke on YouTube. We do reactions. We do live streams Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. Yep, definitely won't be doing a stream tonight because I just pushed my chest and dear God, that hurt. Oh my God. But yes, Exploring the Smoke, come check us out. If you want to, we do mainly NFL and NASCAR and stuff like that, but come on down. Come on down.
Perfect. Yeah, once again, thank you so much for joining us, mate. Go and check out Exploring the Smoke, doing some great stuff over there. A real privilege to have you back, not in just the wrestling world, but in the Rebellious Noise sphere as well. Good to have you on board, mate. Yeah, have a good one, and catch you in a bit. Now, throw over to Lucas's final thoughts before we get out of here, mate. What are your final comments before we head into Backlash?
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping it'll be one of those shows that just over delivers, and I hope we get a bit. I want a big moment. I think there needs to be one. I think if they want to keep this 5-match stuff kind of going, there kind of needs to be a reason, behind some of this stuff. And that, the Goldberg thing has got me really excited, and I don't think it will be Goldberg, but I'm open to it. But yeah, I think there needs to be something big happening tonight for me.
All right, mate. Thank you so much for joining us as always. And we'll see you on the next one, Lucas.
Cool.
Cheers. All right. Well, that's it. We are down to, it's just me. We are 3 minutes away from the show starting. Let's just get to some more of these comments here. Mark says the pop for Randy is going to be loud. Looking forward to that. We can see on the countdown at the moment, Wade Barrett making his way out to the commentary desk. We've also got a comment here from Casper asking if we're doing a after show reaction. Sadly not, Casper. I don't think I'm actually going to watch all the show live myself. You never know. Keep your eyes peeled. You never know. We might come back later on tonight, but I don't see it happening. But I'll try and get my thoughts on the show over the next few days anyway. Gary does think that it could be a big moment for Goldberg tonight showing up, and also says it's been a pleasure. Yeah, well, as always, guys, great to have you guys on board. Really, really enjoyed the show tonight. We've had 3 hours, and as Gary said, it has flown by because it's been such great conversation. If you haven't already, please subscribe. And just want to say again, thank you so much for tuning in. This has been the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. Subscribe and check out more of our content. And most importantly, guys, enjoy Backlash. Thanks very much.
Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features, and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action.